get started. Lander County Commission meeting, Town Board of Battle Mountain and Austin Board of County Highway Commissioners, March 24th, 2022. Lander County Courthouse Commission Chambers, 50 State Route 305, Battle Mountain, Nevada. Also on teleconference, Austin Courthouse Commission, Office 122 Main Street. I want to thank you all for coming, listening and watching. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and Patsy, you lead us in the pledge, please.
Okay. Please join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll have a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you. Lander County Commissioners may break for lunch from 12 p.m. to 1:15 p.m. Any agenda item may be taken out of order, may be combined for consideration by the public body, and items may be pulled or removed from the agenda at any time. Commission reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended. Patsy?
No report, thank you.
Kathy?
I don't have any.
I don't have anything.
No report.
No reports. Okay. Bert, staff reports, meetings, conferences, and seminars.
Yes, good morning, Commission. So I was notified that Great Basin Community College may be leaving Battle Mountain, that they may not be sticking around here, so I have to look into that a little bit more. The school district is looking to try to incorporate some more services into the old bank building to cover some of the high school kids that are trying to continue getting education and their college credits.
Their accelerated classes.
What's that?
The accelerated classes.
Correct. Yeah. And then the bad news I have is, where's she hiding at here? Is Miss Caitlin is up and ditching us. She's, I'm trying to get her to stick around for another month so she can get her 5 years and get vested, but that is entirely up to her. She's gonna go to work with her family business, and we wish her well, and we're gonna miss her. So, if Caitlin would like to say anything.
Don't let her go.
Well, you know, I told her we might take the county with her, but.
Don't waste your vested.
Yeah, don't waste that.
Don't waste that.
Yeah, so that's all the update that I have, and everything else on the agenda.
Public comment for non-agendized items only. Persons are invited to submit comments in writing and or attend and make comments on any non-agendized item at the board meeting, if any, and discussion of those comments at the discretion of the board. All public comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person. Again, at the discretion of the board, reasonable restrictions may be placed on public comment based upon time, place, and manner, but public comments based upon viewpoint may not be restricted. Do we have any public comment? Guess we have no public comment. Consent agenda.
Muted. Unmuted.
No public comment from, okay. Consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by Board of County Commissioners with one action without extensive discussion. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during the meeting. Consent agenda materials are available at the Lander County Clerk's office for viewing, and copies are available for a nominal charge. 1. Approval of March 24th, 2022 agenda notice. Number 2, approval of February 10th, 2022 meeting minutes. 3, approval of February 24th, 2022 meeting minutes. 4, approval of March 10th, 2022 meeting minutes. And 5, approval of payroll change request. Everybody get that?
Yeah.
Get this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chairman, I'll make a motion, we approve items 1, 2, and 5.
I'll second.
Okay, Brian made the motion, Kathy seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nothing opposed? Now, we need to approve check number 214947 and check number 215003 under payroll.
I will make a motion that we approve all of the bills, irrespective of 214947 and 215003.
I'll second Patsy's motion. Yeah, I made the motion to pay the remainder of the bills minus those two, yeah.
Okay, Patsy made the motion, Brian seconded, all in favor?
Aye. I now make a motion to approve checks number 214947, 215003.
I'll second.
Patsy made the motion, Kathy seconded, all in favor? Aye.
I abstain, they're made to my employer.
Right, because that's for your employer, okay. Number one, commission for discussion and possible action, approve the payment of bills. Number two, we already did that. Number two, commissioners. Should have read that in before we did. Yeah, should have read that in first. For discussion of possible action, approve, disapprove the reappointment of one individual to serve on the Lander County Planning Commission, which currently has 2 openings. The new term from July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2024, and the candidate is Monty Price. Thank you, Monty, if you're not here.
I'll make a motion that we approve the reappointment of Monty Price to serve on the planning commission from the period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2024.
Brian made the motion, JR seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody's opposed. Okay, number 3. You gonna do this, Robert? Okay. We will recess the Board of Lander County Commissioners and convene the meeting of the Lander County Liquor Board composed of the Lander County Board of Commissioners and Sheriff Ron Unger. Sheriff Ron Unger's not here, so Under Sheriff Quick will take care of it. 1, Sheriff Ron Unger discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the off-site sale Lander County liquor license for Dennis O'Keefe with Golden Gate Petroleum of Nevada LLC and other matters properly related thereto.
Good morning. This is related to an off-site sale application for the Golden Gate over near Hilltop area. The sheriff's office has done its due diligence and cannot find any reason not to issue the license and would recommend that the board issue.
Okay. Any public comment on the liquor license? I'll call for a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the liquor license for the Golden Gate Petroleum of Nevada LLC.
Need a second? I'll second it. Kathy made the motion, JR seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll adjourn the meeting of the Lander County Liquor Board and reconvene the meeting of the Lander County Board of Commissioners. Number 3, Commissioners for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the modification or repeal of LC 9.16.010 and LLC 9.16.020, discharging of firearms. JR brought this forward a few months ago.
Okay. So I have something that,
Hold on a second.
okay.
You brought this forward a while back, JR. You got anything more to say about it?
Well, most of our surrounding counties already have an ordinance where they can discharge firearms for hunting coyotes and like contests and stuff. And I thought we should be equal to them anyway.
Okay, I'm gonna open this up for discussion.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's fine.
I was not sure. I have not read anything in before like this. So, the first one I have is from Burt Paris. It just says, as a cattle rancher in Lander County, excuse me. Oh, there we go. The first letter I have in regards to this is from, Burt Paris. Says, as a cattle rancher in Lander County, I would like to see the LLC 916.010 and LLC 9.16.02R discharge of firearms left as is. We believe it would pose a safety issue to our cattle if changed. This ordinance has been in place for many decades and seems to be working. If it's not broke, don't fix it. One of our 4 rules in gun safety from the NRA is to be sure your target, just be sure that your target and what is beyond. The cattle ranchers who spend every day caring for the cattle, I hope, you can understand our concerns in changing this ordinance. I recognize that this also a citizen's right issue and that we as legal gun owners should have the freedom to fire our weapons when we feel it is safe to do so or for our protection. This is covered in, this is covered in this well-written ordinance in section 9.16.020 exceptions. Okay, so that's the first one. And the second one is the Wildlife Board Secretary. It says, the Lander County Wildlife Advisory meeting just adjourned. Larry Teskey made a motion to leave the nighttime shooting ordinance as is. The motion was seconded and unanimously approved. This ordinance was put in place many years ago when some kids that were shooting rabbits accidentally shot a person and killed them. This ordinance is for safety of humans, animals, and equipment. Please read this in tomorrow's commission meeting. Thank you. Sandra Torgerson, Secretary for the Wildlife Board. So that's all I have.
Okay, I'm gonna open up for public comment. Come on up, Sean.
I have a comment while he is coming up, and it's the same one that I had the last time we had it on and deferred it. For safety, I definitely think we should keep it as is, and I also think that that our real hunters, if they want to shoot, should be shooting at targets. I can't imagine why they would want to blind any live animal at night with flashlights and headlights and shoot. I don't understand that part of it at all, so that's a real concern for me.
Sean, go ahead and hit your button there on your mic. Right there you go.
Sean Merlich, Philippine Ranch. Being a operator out there and having cattle in a lot of different places, equipment in a lot of different places, it is a real concern to most of us ranchers. You read what Sandra put in there about the, 2 kids years ago killing a guy and not knowing it till a day later. It's a real safety issue, I think. And if we're gonna do that, let's open it up, no shooting ordinance in city limits too. My property ought to be worth as much as your guys's, just kinda how I feel about it. Thanks.
Thanks, Sean. Anybody else? Come on up, Dan.
Morning, gentlemen.
My name is Daniel Goodwin.
My name's Leyland Lobdell.
So we talk about safety and everything and flashlights and all that, but technology's come a long ways in the last 30 years, 20, even last 5 years, say. We brought some pictures and stuff. So we're not out there just shooting at whatever, we have high dollar equipment, thermal imaging, where you can see, we've got pictures you want to see, but this is a cow at 2,416 yards. That's 1.3 miles. And you can see the mountains all the way across the valley, which are probably 12 miles. It's, this isn't something that's, we're just winging bullets out there, spotlighting coyotes or anything like that. It's quite the technology improvement that's come in the past few years, right? So we talk about safety and not being able to see people but and we got these are images of people at 25, 50, and 100 yards in pitch black. They don't see light. The scopes don't see light. They see infrared radiation. So you can see everything that's going on, you know. Here's a cow at 872 yards. Oh, there's a better picture here. The pictures on the scope are a lot better than what I can print
These
for you.
are printed pictures, but looking through the scopes, you can identify a cow, a coyote, domestic dog. You can see clearly of what you're shooting, what is beyond your target.
Yeah, not only what is your target, but what is beyond your target. Like I said, you know, that one picture, that's got to be at least 10 miles across the valley there to the mountain range. You know, that's further than any gun that we have out there hunting coyotes is going to shoot. You know, I don't think it's and we got pictures of cattle in with the coyotes. You can see, you can differentiate the animals. It's not like you just see a blip on the screen, and I mean you can see full on everything. You see their fur patterns, their eyeballs, everything. Like we've come across domestic dogs out hunting on ranchers' properties that they've given us permission to do, and their dog comes running in, and you can see their collar on their neck. You know, so you can tell it's not a coyote or anything like that. It's
You know, I appreciate what you're saying, especially the technology and the thermo, you know, that you'll be able to do. But unfortunately, not everyone has all that, and
Yeah.
not everyone is a good shot.
no, and I
So,
understand that completely.
So let me ask you, why is it important that you shoot at night?
Well, coyotes are nocturnal animals, and while we're out there, you know, doing predator control, it's more likely to be able to cull the herd of coyotes during the night than it is during the day. During the day, you can get one or two, but we go out in the surrounding counties and we're putting 8, 9, 10 in a truck every night. You know, ranchers call us up and have us come over to their counties. You know, we go to Maggie Creek or, you know, out in other places, and we're pulling coyotes off their fields, you know, left and right.
I know that the wildlife does it even in the daytime when we've got herds that are after the young calves and such. And they will come down to keep it under control, and they will do it with helicopters and their aircraft and such.
Right.
But I mean, you're so isolated in what you need to do there to change a whole ordinance that affects everyone.
Right. Well, not everybody can afford a helicopter or an aircraft to do that
Well,
with,
true,
right?
but not everyone should be out necessarily taking care of the predators. I mean, there are.
Right, you're 100% right, but I mean, they're gonna do it, right? There's nothing stopping people from doing it in the daytime, and nobody's gonna go out and shoot them at night. Like, let's say that if you want to pass it, put a stipulation on there: no spotlights, no flashlights, no artificial lights. You know,
I'm still gonna have
That eliminates the
all kinds of
spotlighting or
people
anything.
shooting, and I mean, I have coyotes around my place, and yes, I hear them. Yes, and if I get up on the roof, I can see them. That's still all daylight. I'm sorry, there still are coyotes during the daylight. So I
you're
just
right.
I have a problem for evening shooting. Thank you.
When I was taught about shooting, we were always told you don't shoot if you don't know what's beyond your target. With thermal imaging, now that you can see something hiding in a bush, you can see something behind their heat signature is well known. You know what is beyond your target more than what somebody would know in the daytime. What is beyond your target? When we're in wooded areas, hills, canyons, you can see what is beyond that target because the heat signature, you can't hide from that.
you could be full
You know,
camo.
it sounds so
You
simple,
cannot
but if you can
hide
see so
from-
well, how come we still have hunters being shot in the daytime?
Because
Excuse me?
they're wearing camo and you can't see them.
You can see these targets, you can identify these targets at long distances. When we shoot
We brought some
something-
units, if you would like to try it. If you like, yeah, if you would like to see.
So you can,
Irrelevant because how many of our shooters are gonna have those?
A
I'd
lot.
like to point out, I mean, just to
Here,
bounce off
Leland.
Patsy's comment, accidents happen, Patsy. Accidents happen in the daytime, they happen at nighttime. my biggest thing is that, and I'm very empathetic towards the ranchers, because I think if I was a rancher, I might have some similar concerns,
Put
but
them around.
I think the more
Give them out.
of the bigger picture is that it's like, in the name of safety, you basically
Anybody want to see these?
step on the rights of Americans to be able to shoot their guns at night.
I understand.
And I know it's a safety issue, and I'm very empathetic to it, but I think if we put our heads together, we can come up with a solution to where it's a win-win for everybody. Because I'm not, if there's something you don't like, so what do? You pass a law to basically violate the rights of somebody, law-abiding citizens to be able to do it, because criminals will always be criminals. People that wanna go out and shoot and be stupid, they're gonna be out and shoot whether there's a law or not. We're talking about people who are law-abiding citizens, right, that are protected by the Constitution of America. And I'm not saying that to be ignorant of our ranching community, because it's very important, and I wanna protect that. All I'm saying is that I think we can put our heads together and we can come up with a solution where it is a win-win for everybody. That's just where I'm coming from.
Raise your hand if you have not went out shooting jackrabbits at night. Raise your hand. That's what I thought. And I'll just say this about the thermal stuff. The thermal stuff, you've got an object in your scope, and then you twist it up to 20 power, you're right there. It's not like throwing a spotlight up there. It's nothing at all like that.
But how many people do you think really have the thermal products? I mean, that's what we're
Well,
talking.
there's quite a
Can you
few.
explain that?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah, there's quite a few people that have thermal. I mean, I'm a local business owner and I sell them. Unfortunately, people around town don't want to buy them because, it's illegal here. But there are, I know at least 5 people in town locally that have them. And we all go Eureka County, Humboldt County, now we go to Elko County. We take our stuff and go over there and we spend money over there and do that. And we brought units that you guys can look at if you want to. This is a thermal scope. It has a built-in rangefinder, so you can identify your target, tell how far away it is. So you're not just winging bullets at, a target 1,000 yards away. It's within 100 yards. It's a coyote. It's coming. You can see it clear as day.
I understand what you're saying, and I do believe that you can hit what you're after.
Yeah,
But
well-
you're a minority. I'm sorry. You're a
Now,
minority.
right now we are.
And we
But it's
have
a new
to-
technology.
Well,
We're
it's up
trying
to
to
us
change
for
that with
safety,
being
and I
thermal
still want to
dealers.
cut the risk, so.
Daniel, how many pages are devoted to thermal hunting on Facebook?
Oh, there's thousands.
Hundreds.
Thousands of pages. Also, more and more states, just this year alone, have legalized night hunting. I think it was Louisiana. They just legalized it in most of their counties to deal with hogs and coyotes. Indiana just did coyote hunting at night, 24/7, 365 days a year. They eliminated their season and went with night hunting because they're being overrun. And you are right, it's a safety issue, but people that are gonna be stupid with their guns and go out and just blast in the middle of the daytime are gonna do nighttime. They're not gonna buy this stuff, and they're gonna do it whether they have this or not, or it's legal or
Here's
not.
another thing that I've thought about, people that are gonna spend this kind of money on equipment, they're not, I would hope to God they're not unreasonable people when they're out shooting. And having reasonable people in the field at night is a deterrent for poaching. You got good people out in the field and they catch somebody poaching, they call the game warden and tell them. They see somebody messing around with equipment or with cattle, you got people out there to report it. That's a thought that I had. I mean, as far as the safety issue goes, my God, what I've been through in my lifetime, I don't wanna see anybody get a cut on their finger. But this is a whole lot different than back in the days of throwing up a spotlight, a whole lot different.
I mean, I agree with points from both sides, and it's just, I put myself in the shoes, and it's like, if I want to be able to go do it, and I'm a responsible gun owner, and, everything that I was ever taught with gun safety, you know what I'm saying, but then I'm that right is taken away from me because of a law, I don't think that's necessarily right. Again, I feel that it can be addressed where we can have a win-win on both sides. We just have to put our heads together and come up with a solution. I don't think saying that, keep it, or just wide open, let it, anybody who wants to do it. I just think there has to be some controls to put in place for those people that might not necessarily be completely intelligent about it.
So you wanna add a condition, like, you can only shoot at night if you have a thermal gun or something like?
No, no,
I
I
mean-
mean, come on, let's not make fun of it, Patsy.
No,
I'm
no,
trying to be intelligent
I
about
thought it was a good,
Right.
a good compromise, I wasn't making fun of
Okay,
it.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm not, this
But
is,
yes, it's
this is
something-
too
something similar to
serious.
that. We would put conditions on it, that's what I think. I mean, I don't know how Elk was doing it, Washoe County doing it, these counties that do allow it, I don't know exactly how their ordinances read. Maybe that's something we could check into.
I think they do, there's a few counties that do prohibit artificial light. So you would have to have this or infrared.
And with the advances in technology, this thermal and night vision used to be out of most of our price ranges. They were so high, I mean, you can get into thermal imaging for less than you would buy just a regular Night Force scope or your high dollar Leopolds. You can get into thermal for less than that.
Nothing on this table costs more than $3,000. It's,
Okay, Sean?
Well, I've looked through thermal, and there's great, and then there's not so great.
that's true.
Right, there's different grades, right?
And so, when you start doing this, the not so great, I mean, we're looking at my dog across the yard at night, you couldn't tell it was a dog even, or a coyote or anything, you couldn't tell what it was, you could tell it was something there. So, where do you draw the line? Where do you put on there, it has to be whatever caliber of night vision?
Well, this is the bottom of the line, bottom of the barrel stuff, and that's 166 yards coyote.
That's, yeah, but that's not what I looked through. That might be the bottom of your guys' barrel.
Well, no, this is the bottom of thermal. I don't know what you were
Thermal
looking through.
imaging.
I was looking through thermal imaging and you couldn't tell the dog and it was only 30 yards away.
My question is, how many people out that have private property out of town actually right now shoot rabbits at night? Because if they're doing it, they're violating the law, the way it's written. Am I correct in saying that, Ted?
No, you can hunt, you can hunt on private land at night.
Not under this, not the way this ordinance is written. This ordinance may be
I'd like to
written
see that, cause
improperly.
it was checked into when that law was passed, that they didn't wanna stop rabbit hunting.
I understand.
On private property,
High
that was,
Forgeron and I believe that this was written incorrectly. They used the wrong one or two words. The words they have in the ordinance says it is unlawful for any person to discharge a firearm of any kind in the unincorporated areas of Lander County, which is the whole area of Lander County. So I don't believe they intended to put that in, but that's the word that's in. So to change it so that private landowners can shoot stuff, we'd have to change some of the words.
and another one of my big concern is for the ranching community, is where are people gonna go hunt? You know, it's not just driving around willy-nilly, they're going around ranches where there's livestock, where there's stuff, you know,
Even
to
out in the
shoot.
desert.
We just went out in Humboldt County this last weekend, and nowhere near ranches or anything, and we called 17 dogs.
Not
So
saying you can't, but
Well,
where
you're
most
right.
people go.
most people that don't know how to do it are gonna probably go there, but if we have apps and stuff now that tell you what land is private, what land is BLM.
Absolutely.
When
Which
you
we
can't
run
obviously
on
hunt
it.
on somebody's private property without permission already, day or night, right?
I know, but you could be right on the border of it.
You can't.
Well, that could be one of the contingencies we put in place if we elect to go down that road, eh?
Sean, is there a possibility that we could do something like Brian suggested? Have some qualifications, have some definitions of where and where you can't? Would you be willing to meet with these guys and talk to them about something like that?
It's
I mean, I agree with the safety thing, it's an issue. But the comparison between the technology back in the day and my God, accidents happen unfortunately. They happen in daylight, they happen at night. I'm just,
right now, if someone checks in, I go line them out where there is pivots and tractors and,
Right.
and
don't want holes in your
livestock
ordinance.
and everything, I don't have a problem with it, but when you open this up, people can be on our border anywhere they want on BLM. And I go out the next day and I got a hole in my main line, or I got a hole in a pivot, or flat tire on a tractor, or whatever I have no idea where to go, who did that.
So,
There's,
you don't think if we had responsible people out in the desert, they saw that kind of stuff, it'd be an advantage? I mean, I know Dan,
there's a lot of responsible hunters, and there's a lot of irresponsible hunters.
I understand that.
I mean, daytime or whatever. I mean, I just think when you take it off, you're opening up another, headache for ranchers
I don't want headaches
to
for ranchers.
deal with.
Paul?
Paula Tamara,
want us to leave?
for Tamara Ranches. Well, first of all, I wanted to ask if any of you knew why the ordinance came up in the first place.
Well, yeah, I think it was stated in that letter, cause that young boy was killed or something.
She may not have been.
No, I wasn't in here
Oh,
then.
yeah.
So for that reason alone, I think it's perfectly acceptable that we keep that ordinance in, because one life lost is too many. But and we also have a lot of people out by our place shooting, and I'm just wondering if you guys would be worried for your families and your property and your animals if somebody was shooting by your house, wherever you may live, in the middle of the night, and you don't know what they're shooting at or where they are or anything, and we have that constantly. So for me personally, I do not want that, and I know you guys are the norm, but for the same reason that we didn't leave or let people down at the river, is because a few people were doing things that they weren't supposed to. They were damaging our property and everything, so we had to close it off, and you only let people on that you know. That's the same thing with this. We don't have a lot of responsible people hunting in our area. It's mostly kids, younger adults and that, going out shooting at night, getting the rabbits and stuff. But we have had cattle shot at out on the range when it was during the day, it was at night. We've had animal loss. So, and like he said, shooting into the pivots and stuff, that's happened. So, Paul, they are weaning, so he's on the third day. They got to get the calves back together. So he wrote a letter that he wanted me to read in. And dear commissioners, I had an intention of attending this meeting in person. We have cows in the corral needing branded, and I will not be able to attend in person. So I've asked Paula to read this letter on behalf of Tamara Ranches. On behalf of Tamara Ranches, I would like to make a statement concerning nighttime shooting ordinance in Lander County. Living only a short distance from Battle Mountain and having residents on two legs of what is affectionately called the country mile, we are opposed to overturning the ordinance against the nighttime shooting within the county. This ordinance was passed to protect life and property within the county. Judging by the amount of beer cans and bottles found in the borrow pits following any given Friday or Saturday night, I can assume that many of the nighttime drivers on the country mile are not clear-minded, responsible thinkers. I would not care to have these same people shooting across these wide-open flats where our ranches and cattle are. Having done my share of nighttime driving across these flats, most of the last 30 years in a tractor and baler, I can tell you it's easy to get disoriented and misremember things on this flat. Even sober and responsible people can often mistakenly think that they are shooting in a safe direction in the dark. Unlit homes, property, and livestock can often be within the line of fire when a person mistakenly takes a shot at something in the dark. I've heard rumor that some of the issue with this ordinance concerns an unfair advantage to some hunters that might have in some of the local coyote hunting tournaments. Some hunters can hunt on private property at night, while others may not have this option. Might it be wiser to change the rules of these coyote tournaments and disallow nighttime hunting than to overturn an ordinance designed to protect life and property of the citizens of Lander County? One of the foremost rules of gun safety is to always be aware of what lies behind your target. How can you be aware of what lies behind your target if you cannot see in the dark? I cannot believe any responsible gun owner or property owner would be in favor of overturning this ordinance. We are adamantly opposed to changing the current nighttime hunting ordinance within this county. We do not feel that changing this ordinance would improve the safety of the residents of Lander County or provide any benefit to the county in general. And I do understand your issue with that, we hire, the state comes in and they do helicopter shooting. It doesn't cost us anything. They get between 10 and 20 at a time. And then otherwise, when we're out feeding, we do our own predator control. And so, and if we're shooting rabbits or something like that, it is in our, it's during the day. We don't go out night shooting for predator control at our property. And most of the ranchers are the same thing. The state comes in, they fly over, they get the coyotes that are there, and they are still out when they do this. So, like I said, for whatever it's worth, we are adamantly against this. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Paul.
Well, I understand it's a new technology, it's brand new, people said the same thing when we invented fire trucks and stopped using buckets to fight fires, it's new, nobody knows much about it, but it is growing rapidly, it's gonna be everywhere before we know it, so. And people are gonna do it day or night, whether it's legal or not, so.
Well, that was my point. I mean, again, I'm very empathetic, but it's like, you get the beer bottle, this is look at just stupid people. They do
They're
it
out
every
shooting.
day, yeah, exactly, but it's like, that's the thing that I struggle with, is that it's so stupid people, they help encourage taking the rights away from responsible acting adults, and it's just, it's a really sad place, but it's just.
So if it's legal to shoot rabbits at night on private property, or it's not legal to shoot rabbits on private property, I think that the way the ordinance stands, at least that would need to be modified to clarify the private property issue.
Right, so like if a group came to Tamara Ranches or to Filipino Ranches, hey guys, we have a group of 12 people, we wanna have a night contest, can we hunt your property? If
That's
you were to say
completely
yes, they would be in violation of law the way it's currently written.
Right.
I mean,
They couldn't
And
do it.
and Public American, and if that is the choice we have to make, we would choose not to let them on there.
right.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
your
are
property,
totally,
you do what you want.
yeah, we are, if that is the ordinance, we would be totally against letting them on our property to do it. I'm just thinking that it's easier to change or to change the coyote hunt rules, because for every one of them, there's 50 that are not responsible. I don't think the technology that they're using is as widespread as they think. It's not.
Explain how that works, Paul,
For what?
what you just said.
For every one of these people that have this high imaging to shoot the animals, there's 50 people in this town that don't have that, and those typically are the ones going out there doing this. So, if it became the issue of when a lot more people have that technology than just a few, then that would be the time to look at the ordinance. But I don't think we're at that point yet to where we want to open this up. And I certainly, I do not like the people that are shooting next to my house, and there's an ordinance against it, and they still do it.
Well, I agree with you, that would be a bit unsettling if you lived somewhere
And
that was
it's
dark.
every night.
Yeah, and you heard gunshots, I have
Every
to
night.
agree, it would be a little bit unsettling.
It shook me up when I
But see,
saw
if,
the muzzle blast out in front of my house, somebody running down the street shooting another person.
so if we change the ordinance, then you could probably sell your equipment a lot better. Is that my idea here?
Well, no, that has nothing to do with that. I'm selling my equipment just fine, but, I've been out, there's plenty of people
It's an
around.
advantage to your selling, yes, I understand.
Oh, it would be, yeah.
And how much does it cost?
Like what we brought was in the $25,000 to $3,000,
$3,000 per weapon.
yeah, per site, the scope, not the
Another
weapon.
$2,000 for the gun.
Yeah, the people that are buying this stuff aren't out
Yeah.
shooting next to people's houses or beer bottles with it.
The ones that are
It's a
doing
big
that
industry.
are still gonna be
It's a
doing
big
that.
industry.
We go out, like I said, we go to Humboldt County, we run into our friends out there in the desert, driving at each other, they were hunting over here, we're hunting over here, now we're both like, oh, we all gotta go somewhere new. We stop and talk in the desert for 20, 30 minutes, hang out, compare our coyotes and go separate ways, people are out doing it, they're,
A lot.
So the way I understand it right now, the ordinance, the way it stands is a rancher walks out of his house and there's a coyote chasing the chicken, he shoots the coyote, because of the discharge at night, he could get a citation,
Yes.
Ted?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, see?
I mean, they're the money, Paula American, they're the minority, and we're not worried about them, we're worried about the other people. It's like, you know, just the old saying goes, you know, we let people on that are responsible, that ask us, but 99% of them don't ask us, don't care where they're shooting.
We're not looking at giving permission carte blanche. We're looking at rewriting a portion of the ordinance so that you're not in trouble.
But how do you police that?
What?
How are you going to police that?
You
I mean, right now,
can't.
there's night
No,
hunting
we're-
as
you
well.
can't.
That's
It's
not
two
what I'm
different
saying.
things, two different things.
Commissioner, I need to add something, on your question. If a rancher, as written, you can't shoot anywhere in Lander County at night, as written. But if a rancher at night is protecting his property, which could be a chicken, a cow, a lamb, from a child,
A
from a
rabbit could feed
predator,
in the hay or what?
That's excusable.
they can.
Rabbits
they can
eat
shoot.
hay, right?
Yeah, a rabbit might eat your garden.
So,
So they can protect their property and
Okay.
but overall, this applies across Lander County, because all of Lander County is unincorporated.
All Lander County.
Unincorporated.
It's unincorporated.
How does it apply to BLM property?
We have general jurisdiction on BLM
Okay, we do.
property, so it would be applicable to that too.
So the ranchers are protected if they have to shoot at night.
If they're protecting their property, their family, things like that.
it doesn't sound like the ordinance is working really well right now from the way Paula speaks of many gunshots going off at night.
Right.
It's not us. I could
No,
tell
no,
you that.
I know that. I'm just pointing out how well the ordinance is currently working, and like I said, I'm in bed by 7 at night and I have an unfair advantage that you guys probably were well of, but, I think that something to consider, because I'd never been around this thermal imaging before in my life, but that stuff's even safer during the daytime. It's incredible if you pull it up and you see one animal and all of a sudden there's 7 there. You go, holy smokes, where'd they? And then you put it down in the daytime, you go, oh, there they are. You know, it is incredible technology. So I can see it from both sides. But I just want to point that out, that this technology isn't just for night, it's for daytime, and it's wonderful for identifying targets beyond the target that you're looking at, whether it's day or night. So I just want to throw that out there.
Discharging weapons at night, it's illegal, but I saw the muzzle blast right there on South Second Street, somebody chasing another person, bang!
It's just, I don't know, I mean, how many of us in this room grew up hunting, shooting rabbits at night and coyote, I mean, it's like, that was
You know.
part of my life, you know, and so it's just, obviously, it's two different ways of thinking, and I can see both sides completely, I
And
do.
there were a lot less
You
people
grew up
back
when it
then.
was illegal.
Yeah, you're right, and it's like,
No.
and I didn't know, you know?
No,
I
That's why
have,
I asked how many
And we're a
people.
different generation than the ones growing up now,
Right.
and they don't have the same thought process
No,
and the
absolutely,
way that
Right.
we were raised and
No.
responsibly to
Yeah,
use
I
a
know.
weapon. And that's the problem that we have, is we don't wanna allow a certain group to be able to do it, because then that causes confusion. You can't distinguish between, you know, somebody with their equipment and just the general public. I mean, I don't know how many people you know, that can afford that, you know, but there are some, I believe, but for the general population, there's no way I'm gonna let Paul spend $3,000 on that scope, you know? And, you know, we have some money put away, so it's a really high expense, and I think to change the ordinance just to allow a few of these people in, when it becomes the majority have that, well then look at it again, but I really don't believe that we should change it.
Well, this is more than a few people. We do coyote hunts. I put one on every year, and it's a majority of the people that come hunt at night only. You know, and it brings money into the county, you know, bring thousands of dollars into local businesses just out of my own pocket, you know, not to mention what everybody else spends, you know, snacks at the gas station, go to the restaurant, fuel, stuff like that. But right now, the way it's written, nobody wants to come here to start because they can't start hunting here. So we allow remote starts where they spend all that money somewhere else, come here for dinner and then leave. And that's about it. They're not here for more than 2 hours in our county doing anything.
I know there's some talk about changing the rules on some of the coyote hunts that they've got going on too. I have a dog in my car right now. If I brought in here, you would think it was a coyote. I kid you not.
No.
It is exactly, you want to take a break, I'll
No,
bring her in.
no, I'm
I
saying-
mean, you would shoot my dog, and in the daytime, I want you to look safer. At night, I wouldn't have a prayer.
What kind of dog is it? A coyote? What kind of dog? What breed? No, serious.
It's a Norwegian elk hound.
Oh, a Norwegian.
Elk hound. Just the same size, and I mean, she looks like a coyote.
Wow.
I'm sitting here listening to everybody talking. 90% of the people, like Paul's talking about, they're breaking more than one law, being out there shooting. They're on the road, they're not supposed to shoot off on public
Shooting
roads.
out of
Probably got
vehicles.
some shooting juice in them too.
Yeah.
But if the county can't take care of those people, you know, how are you gonna differentiate between the people like this and those people? You know, are you gonna have, the police come and patrol the country mile? You know, I mean, what are you gonna do right now? Paul will go out sometimes and tell them to get the heck out of there, but how are you gonna police the difference between that and what they're already doing? I mean, cause we're not getting people, you know, people aren't, as soon as they shoot, you know, you can call the police, but how long is it gonna take and they take off? So, you know, I think address that issue of the people that are already night hunting when they're not supposed to, or just shooting or whatever, and then address this at a later time when more people have this technology, cause I don't think we're at that point yet. And,
Well, I agree with you, we're not at that point yet, but also those people that's out there doing it, it doesn't matter whether we change the law or not, they're still gonna do it.
They're probably doing it from a moving
enforcement would
vehicle.
help.
They're probably shooting out their windows even.
Right.
They're not stopping.
Making more laws
If
is not
they're doing
changing.
it already, they're gonna continue doing it whether we change the rules or not.
Criminals will be criminals. They will do things. Look at some of the cities we have here in the country that have the strictest gun laws there is. All that does is hinder law-abiding citizens that will
But
still
right-
do the right thing. Criminals will still do what they
See,
do.
that's the main issue I have with it, is not, I mean,
Is-
that's my main issue right there, so that's why I'm having a tough time with it. Yes, Paul?
You had said, Paula, for the record, you had said that you grew up, going,
Yeah.
shooting bunnies and everything, and it was illegal at that point as
Right.
well. So, that's what I'm saying, I mean, you know, you thought it was fine to do it, the kids and the older adults think it's fine to do it, and, but the issue here, I think, is just, you know, the ignorance of the ordinance we already have. And,
Right.
you know, just because we have, you know, we have that ordinance doesn't mean the general public knows that that is,
And that's the law,
illegal.
right.
And like I said, it'd be better to enforce the current ordinance that we have and stop that than to go to the extreme and do this right now when that top technology is not there. Cause I do believe there are people that hunt responsibly, but I don't believe the general public, has this equipment to be able to differentiate between the cows that are out there and when they're shooting a bunny, you know, they hit our cows or property or whatever.
You know, Commissioner Sparks, I totally understand what you're saying, and being a strong Republican, we always have believed in less government, and now here we are with taking rights away, so to speak. I guess the unfortunate part is I remember how I fought so much when they put the seatbelt rule, and I said, why a seatbelt? You know, if I get thrown, I get thrown, if I die, I die. It's my personal, you know, decision of what I want to do. But they put it on for safety, and they do show it truly does. That's what it shows. So I guess, like Paula says, it's already in effect. It is for safety. That's what we're supposed to be looking at, and I just don't want to take it off. But I understand your point. I don't want to add more government. I mean, look how we fought on the masks
Yeah,
when the
that's my
government
point. It's
said,
like,
you will wear a
in the name
mask.
of safety, you will do this. And it's
Yes,
just
and
like,
we
that's what
said,
I'm saying.
that's not proven.
It's that-
Okay, I'm
But
gonna
at
say
night,
something here.
it
You know,
is, so,
We had legislation jammed down our throat called Question 1. Because somebody got hurt, somebody got killed, so we impose on everybody else's rights. Now, I'm not saying this situation, I'm saying in general. you know, you gotta be careful on this balance. I mean, somebody died and this ordinance went into place. I understand that, I get it. That was 50 years ago. Is safety still a concern with hunting at night? Sounds like it is. It sounds like we have reckless people today, even with this ordinance. And that's the point. Laws don't stop people from breaking the law. They just don't. And it's just a
They do,
damn
though.
shame. It's
They
a-
do, they stop the law-abiding citizens.
There you
And
go.
if you open this up, you're gonna give us more, there's gonna be more people out there doing it.
Yep.
More property damage, more, I mean, sure, they're responsible, but not everybody's gonna have this. You're not gonna have it on your 22 out rabbit hunting. I mean, these guys are coyote hunters. They're paying the money for the good optics. But you open it up and make it to where you can go out and shoot at night, then rabbits are around the fields, like I said. People are gonna be on the borders of my fields and stuff, shooting rabbits without the nighttime imaging. I've already got, we already have plenty of property damage. You don't need to open it up more.
Well, I can't.
Cause
I can't do any-
you got the people that are breaking the law right now already.
I can't do anything to put you in harm's way more. I just can't do that, Sean. I can't do that to you. I can't do it to Paul, the Parises, everybody else. I can't do that.
But that's all I'm saying. I agree with you guys. The ordinance, I mean, I don't like ordinances. I don't want more ordinances.
Yeah, that's,
But when you do, if you do take it off, you're opening it up to everybody to go out and shoot at night. Right now, you just got the lawbreakers. You've got that in everything you do, hunting, poaching, whatever. You've got those. But you open it up and you're gonna put out a whole bunch of other people out there that do follow the law and now it's legal. I'll go out and shoot rabbits. You know? It just makes it a little more dangerous for us.
Unless you word it properly. If you put the wording in there,
Then it's still.
it's the same thing.
ordinance.
If we do adopt this, it's gotta have rules and regulations on it, like for tournaments only, or something like that.
But then we're not getting away from getting rid
You're
of
not gonna
ordinance.
get away from the people out there.
You know what I'm
shooting.
saying? It sounds like to me you guys just wanna get rid of an ordinance because
No.
we're Republicans here and we don't like them, but you're not really getting rid of it.
Put in the ordinance a mile from.
So, can I
standard
comment real
structures.
quick and maybe address some of that? Because it seems like it's based around the equipment and the equipment being used, and I see what you're saying as well, nobody wants everybody out and about. The old days of running around with the spotlight and you see a set of eyes, and that's where the danger comes in of what you could be shooting at. And I think what Brian's alluding to is the common good of, maybe it's the ordinance states that if you aren't hunting with thermal, you can't be out at night. You know what I mean? That you can modify the ordinance to where it is only the people with the technology that you guys have, and you have to pay to play. I mean, there's a lot of things in this world you have to pay to play. So, and I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just.
Police that?
Well, how do they police our current ones?
I know.
You know, so I'm just throwing this out there as to kind of maybe a middle ground for the law abiding, for those who are trying to do what's right and trying to protect your livestock and everything else, because we get multiple calls, especially this time of year, to go do predator control for people, and we do it aerial. There's other guys out there that don't have that option of doing it aerial, but we pay to play. And we go do predator control. These guys don't have that option. And so with that, I think that there's some common ground here, because I can see where everybody's going. I don't want somebody out by my house ripping rounds off at night. You know what I mean? I have my horses out there and everything else, but when I've seen these thermal imaging, I feel like they're safer than daytime hunting. Because you can see, like I said, I've been out with buddies, and you pull it up and you see one animal and all of a sudden there's 7 of them there, and you go, holy smokes, these things are incredible. You look at your hands and you can't believe that that's human technology. So I'm just throwing that out there for everybody in the room. I know that the commission wants to make a good decision. I want to make sure we're making a good decision and protecting everybody the best we can, and not limiting what our rights are. I'm with you on we're Republicans. We don't want to. There has to be laws and rules for everybody to keep all of us somewhat safe, but maybe there's something what these guys are doing that has a little something to it.
okay, Ted, under the present ordinance, if a rancher wanted somebody to come on their property to kill coyotes because the coyotes are feeding on their stock, can they do that?
Good question.
Not at night.
That's,
In the daytime.
no, I'm talking at night.
No.
Okay.
They could, a rancher can protect his property and his family from predators or people.
I'm a rancher, I'm gonna hire these guys to come and shoot cows at night because they're killing my cows.
Well, they'd have to be in the process of killing the cow to be able to use the firearm at night.
Right, I guess.
Holly Tamara, just one quick question. How many people here have that thermal set up? Two?
It's 3. 4.
Who else?
I got
Yeah.
a form of it. I'm not interested in hunting at night, though.
Not the majority though.
I killed all my.
If I hear a noise out in the yard, I get it out, see what's doing.
Okay. Any more questions, more public comment? Patsy, Kathy, JR, Brian? I'll entertain a motion.
Well, I would just like to say this, I think everything that we do in life is an evolution of things. It's just like Paula has alluded, it's like, you know, because we represent the majority of our taxpayers, right? And it's like and I can see both sides, and I'm empathetic to both sides. Whereas it is an evolution, things are constantly changing, maybe it's something that, I don't know, you guys go out, you do a lot of these hunts, I don't. I mean, if you have some great ideas, you come back and you take them to the commission again. I don't know.
We're out every
Could it
weekend.
ever be a thing, Ted, that you actually put it on a ballot to vote? And that citizens of Minor County vote for that?
You could,
It's something to consider, absolutely.
you certainly could do that.
I mean, that'd be the only way to know,
Yeah.
are you
Tell me what
representing,
everyone wants.
are you representing, right, the
And you
majority of
could,
people?
you could make a question on the ballot.
Where are you gentlemen from?
Here.
Right here in Battle Mountain?
Yeah, we live across the street.
You
Yeah.
can see my flagpole.
Do you,
across the
do you
street.
do any
Big
hunting in the
tall
south?
Daniel, one of my kids, Patsy.
In the south, we don't do any of our hunting here because it's in Lander County. During the day we do, but not at night.
I'm asking legally, of course.
Legally.
So you do go down to the south too?
Mm-hmm. We've been, during the day, we've been all around. You know, nighttime we go to other counties where it's welcome.
Thank you.
All of our surrounding counties.
We're good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Dan.
You have to have certainly, you have to do it.
So we wanna put this on the ballot.
Well,
That's a fair question.
Molly, maybe you can
I don't
assist with
think we
that
can
question.
Put it on the ballot now.
If a question wants to be put on the ballot, if the county commissioners want to put a question on the ballot, is there still time to do that?
Not for the primary, but for the general.
For the general, they
In
can.
the general.
Now, a citizen can do that?
Well, I'd rather have the county commissioners do it, to be quite honest.
Get a request for a question to us?
Yes.
Yeah, it would just be a deadline, but we have plenty of time for that.
Yeah, so your motion could
Yeah. Okay.
encompass that idea.
Daniel, good way. The problem, I think, putting it on the ballot is an education issue. Nobody's gonna be educated on the issue to vote, right? And people are gonna say, oh, I don't know what that is. No.
There's, on any ballot question, there's a for and against.
There's a explanation for and against
Always.
each question on the ballot.
Right.
So there's a full explanation.
Okay, do you think that's enough to educate
Well, it is
people
on all the other questions on
And
the
yes,
ballots.
on huge questions that go on the ballots.
There's, it takes up a lot of the paper, but there's full explanations for and against.
Sean, what do you think about that?
The county wants, if that's the way the whole county wants to go, then that's probably
Yeah.
Who
I don't-
writes the explanation?
It's,
Where do they come from?
the question on the ballot is not going to, it doesn't become law, the question itself. It's just a question. And you'll see how many voters are against it or oppose it, and then they'd still have to come in front of the Board of County
It's our
Commissioners.
feedback of what the county
Yeah, it's just
wants.
research. That's all it is. If they wanted to do that.
Which I think is.
And honestly, you put that out there and you get that discussion going countywide. I believe communication is a good thing, right? The exchanging and sharing of ideas, it opens both sides' eyes up. So it's just, I wouldn't necessarily think it would be a bad thing, but.
Well, you guys know my story. I've been through it. I don't want to see anybody get hurt, so. Okay, need a motion.
You don't even have to make a motion.
just let it lie if you want. I'm gonna call for a motion. Hearing none?
Well,
Hold on.
make a motion that we, put it on the general election with the,
Motion's been made by JR.
For a question on the ballot?
right.
I would second that motion. I think that would be fair.
JR made it, Brian seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
I'll have to say aye because I believe it's fair for everybody to have their input. At least then you know where people stand, so I actually will say aye for it to go onto the
Cause
ballot.
and it's just for the record, it's not, we're not changing the ordinance, we're just
No,
doing some
exactly.
research to see
I'm
how
okay
our,
with that.
how our citizens stand on it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, aye.
Pass.
I voted aye.
Okay, I'll vote aye. Everybody voted aye, opposed? Okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute break.
Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Yeah,
out.
thank you very
Thank
much.
you, guys.
Thank you. Bert, is that number 10, On Track North America?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna jump ahead to number 10. On Track North America for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove both the Nevada Freight Rail Strategic Plan and the agreement between Lander County and On Track North America Transportation Planning for Sustainability in the amount of $109,750. Good morning, gentlemen.
So we have Michael Sussman here, and he's going to present on this. This is part of creating a rail plan, and I'll let him elaborate.
Thank you.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Oh, man, you're on Sansom's. Isn't that Jewelers Row?
No, well, down at Ninth Street it is, we're at
Okay.
17, closer to Rittenhouse Square.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna say Rittenhouse Square.
We grew up close to each other back east.
Back in the day. I think I was ahead of you though, a little bit.
Not too much.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Tell us about this exciting rail spur.
So, background.
So I'm Michael Sussman. I own Strategic Rail Finance, and I'm the founder of a nonprofit transportation development organization called On Track North America. In 2019, February of 2019, Lee Bonner of the Nevada DOT asked if I would bid on the next state rail plan. State rail plans are a requirement of the federal government to be submitted to US DOT every 5 years. And the Nevada DOT wanted to do something innovative and difference-making rather than just another bureaucratic exercise in doing a study and sending it into the federal government. So we won the contract to do that plan. Tom and I started coming to Nevada in October of 2019. In the 6 months before the pandemic started, we put in about 4,000 miles. One of our principles in this plan was that this was not just going to be a Reno and Las Vegas focused plan, that we were going to look at every county. And so we've been to Caliente 4 times. We've been to Ely five times or so. We've been to West Wendover, Wells, Elko, Battle Mountain, Carlin, and all points in between. We've been to Hawthorne and Rhyolite, even. So all because Nevada had 2,500 miles of rail lines maybe 60 years ago, and it's down to 1,143 miles of railroad track.
How many?
1,143. Yeah. So there's a number of reasons for that. One is that the big railroads, you're familiar with Union Pacific and BNSF, over time, as the country has grown, their business model has focused on taking trains as far as they can. They get paid the most that way. So in Nevada, you have the unfortunate repercussions of that, which is that they pick up at Port of Oakland and Port of LA and Port of Long Beach, and they take their trains all the way through the state to Dallas and Memphis and Chicago, and same going the other direction. The result is that of all the freight moving in the state by rail, only 17% of it actually picks up or serves in the state. So these trains that you're seeing are coming in one end, they're going out the other end. And the businesses in the I-80 corridor, as close as you are to California, which has 15 times the population of Nevada, therefore is a market for businesses located here, as well as the ports. While you have a rail line here, along I-80, the actual rail service doesn't allow the businesses to effectively go to Northern California and the ports. And we're out to address that because there's no sense having goods going just through the area and through Battle Mountain and not be able to work with those goods, do processing of certain materials, or so determining exactly what should be in Battle Mountain in terms of its economic development opportunities that takes advantage of this freight going through the state and that there's a rail line here. That's the job of this engagement that we've laid out. So why don't I stop there? There's a lot more I could say about it, but I'm sure you have questions.
Actually, on your way through, I was one of the commissioners that met with you. Bert, you weren't on staff then, were you? So this is all, I guess, kind of new with the rest of them. I think it was.
I believe I was in Austin at the time.
Judy was there, I think.
Yeah. As soon as I saw your name, I thought, wait a minute, we met early on, probably early on in 2019.
So I do, and that was one of the things that we said was, we need to have them stop here. What can we do to have them stop here? So from that, tell us where we are, and you need the money for what?
Yeah, I probably should, another piece of background is that the county has acquired 300 and some acres and wants to know how to think about that development. And there's three elements of bringing logic to that development. 4, if you include what's the ideal rail connection, what's the ideal rail design. But the 3 approaches that we'll be taking to discerning what makes most sense there is, 1, are there existing businesses in the county or the adjacent counties that could use new logistic services that could be located there? Because it's the fastest approach to improving a region's economy is to look at how can you serve the existing businesses. They're already there, and so much of economic development focuses on bringing new businesses in, which would be the second area. But let's not skip over any existing businesses. Now, there aren't a lot of truckload quantity shippers in Lander County, but we certainly want to know. And one of the things you find out is there's folks that have thought of business that they would expand into if there was rail service. So we'll be talking to everybody that we should be talking with in the county, including probably all of you. So then you look at, given the goods that are moving through the I-80 already by truck and by rail, are there any services that could be offered here that would warrant those trucks or those rail cars stopping here for either final packaging or assembly or before they go for export, or goods coming into the country? Is there a reason that they should be reconfigured here? And then thirdly is what existing businesses, how should we think about this site so that we're in the best position to attract new businesses? And then what new businesses do you want? How many jobs do you have the capacity to provide? Do we want activity here that doesn't require that many jobs? Do we want activity that doesn't require that much water? So really focusing in on not just an amorphous, let's have some new tenants there, but what kind of tenants that's actually going to serve the best interests of the community. So getting all that clarified is what this engagement is about. And that's, I think, what you're considering is whether to approve this scope of work that Bert and our team have lined up.
So Patsy, to further that answer, the industrial park, the problem that we have right now is not being sure what would fit or what does not fit our industrial park that we want to put in with the rail to go with it. This study would bring us what is feasible and hopefully save us a pile of money or bad money. Yes, bad money throwing at an industrial park that does not provide any return on the investment.
So since it's what they do, they would do it for Lander County. Since it's what they do, they would do it for Lander County, and this is what they would do it for.
Correct.
Okay, because I saw the reports and stuff that they would do.
Michael, you'd be talking to all the farmers and ranchers in the area too.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely multi-industry. So, and when we say industry, that's farming. That could be hay, that could be whatever else.
I just wanted to make a record.
Yeah, that's great.
I think it's our future.
By the wetlands or north of town?
Out by the wetlands, a little bit further down the road headed towards Winnemucca, off to your right is where the industrial park would be, and it's where we just received that land.
That 300 acres?
Correct.
Okay. And how far off of the frontage road is that 300 acres? Is it that field there, that whole pasture?
It's on the north side of the freeway with the rail. It's directly behind the sewer plant.
Okay.
And it adjoins all the way up to where New Nevada Lands ties in and goes into Humboldt County.
Wow, okay. That's a big swath to be developed. Any more questions? Concerns? I'll call for a motion. Public comment, right. Hearing no public comment? I need a motion.
I'd make a motion that we approve, both the Nevada Freight Rail Strategic Plan and the agreement between Lander County and On-Track North American Transportation Planning for sustainability in the amount not to exceed $109,750,000.
And I second the motion.
And that money is for basically a survey study, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I second.
okay.
Okay, Brian made the motion, Patsy seconded. Any public comment?
Yes,
All in
this-
favor? Aye. Okay.
This will be much like our 5-year master plan. This will give us a plan and an idea of which way to execute this to give us another source of income that is not mine-based, hopefully.
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Great. We're gonna get to work as soon as we get in the vehicle and start driving around here.
Are you gonna be in town?
Till early afternoon.
Well, I mean, to come back and do this work?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, if you are, give me a call.
Oh, that's
I'd
great.
Sit and visit with you.
That's
Michael's
great.
from Philadelphia.
That's
same
great.
place.
Nice to
Okay,
meet you all.
gentlemen, thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thanks, Evan. If I may, on number 3, you approved by motion to put a question on the ballot. You never gave, it has to be done by July 18th. You need to give us direction on who do you want to write it up. Would you like me to do that?
Yeah, I think it would be
No, that's-
a collaboration between you and the county manager.
And the clerk, because the clerk has to be involved in this too, on these questions. So, is that the direction you want us to go in, the 3 of us?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, that's all I needed.
Okay. We are on number discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the renewal of Air Medicare contract, which contains new language. We have anybody here from Air Med?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Gina Fascinetti, Membership Manager, Air Medicare Network. I believe I'm here today just to give some clarification on some questions that you had with regards to the terms and conditions. The contract is the same as last year's. The price didn't increase or anything, so as I understand it, you just had some questions about the verbiage.
Where's our county manager at?
The amount isn't the same.
It is. It's the same as it was last year.
I guess I don't understand how we got to that kind of money. That still surprises me, because we only have, 57 plus 5,700 and some in our county?
But they came back, I thought, didn't you guys come back at a different time because there was a gap? And we had to approve an additive amount to it?
There was.
Yes.
So.
How I remember this was somebody came from Winnemucca, and they said it would be $7,500. We took a pause, the man came back, and he said, no, I was wrong. The formula is, it's $1 for every structure in the county, and we paid $3,200 for 6 months.
That was a different company. That wasn't
Well,
us.
let me finish. What formula do you use?
They basically go in and they find the population through census, and then they take the amount of households that are covered by Medicare that wouldn't normally qualify for a membership or need one. And then the number of flights and reimbursement, and they use a formula to come up with the pricing for the
Now, can you
counties.
charge more than Medicare pays?
No, not for Medicare households only. They tell us. That's why we don't. If they are solely a Medicaid household, we don't have them get a membership because it would benefit them.
Isn't it like that for every air ambulance though? If, you know, Medicare, and you can only charge what Medicare or insurance pays?
No, not what insurance pays. Private insurance is different. But for Medicare, they just tell us what they're gonna pay us. That's it. Like
Okay, so-
Medicaid, there's still typically like a copay or deductible depending on the Medicaid plan.
I thought I read something in there about you're gonna bill health insurance, you're gonna bill auto insurance, you're gonna bill house insurance to get your money?
They will, yeah, depending on what it is. If it's a scene call and it's auto insurance and they have that, they're gonna bill whoever's insurance was applicable, just like any insurance would to repair your car.
You know, that's all new language this year.
That's all new.
But yeah, they did add some clarifications in
They
there
added a lot of new language.
for the terms and conditions, correct?
Right. So.
But that language actually
So when
has,
you say the contract's the same, it's technically not the same because there was about 4 or 5 new clauses.
right, the amount was the same.
Yes, okay.
That's what
I
Okay.
just wanted to get on the same page.
So I have two questions. One is, and my one concern is, if you guys are not available when a call is made to you, what reassurance do we have that do you guys pick up the difference of the bill for the other company that is available? Or you just say, sorry, we weren't available and we appreciate having you. The second one is, can you explain more of like the, no bounce back billing and some of the laws that changed with that? I believe that was in 2015, but I'm not very familiar with it, and I'm hoping that you, being in the field, are.
So there was a law that actually took effect this year, that made it so that, basically there's, mediation between, the in-network insurance companies and the hospital or billing facilities, that kind of took like the patient out of the middle. So that made it nice, because if they are in network and stuff, then they negotiate that and the patient doesn't have to be in there like battling the insurance companies. That didn't really have much effect on people who were uninsured, which is a large percent of the population, or who have high deductible plans. So essentially what the membership does, and this is what you guys have been paying for the entire time, is any air ambulance company is gonna have to bill the same amount by law. They can't just write it off. So they have to bill, and typically people get charged their co-insurance, their copay, and their deductible. So if you had insurance and they said, well, we do cover, flight, but we have like a $10,000 cap for an air ambulance flight, They would pay up to that cap after your deductible, and then the patient would be on the hook for like the remainder of that bill. So what the membership does is if they're a member and they get flown by any of our over, 320 locations, if they were traveling somewhere, then it's no money out of pocket, all that goes away for them. So it kind of protects them if they had a lapse in insurance, if they were uninsured, if they had a high deductible, which the majority of plans are nowadays for families, the high deductible, high copay plans for insurance.
So is that individual protected from not being flown out by you guys? Is there any protection? Say you don't have an aircraft available to fly that individual out. Is there any guarantee that they don't pay that full amount?
There isn't. The membership covers us only. I mean, like if they didn't have a membership and someone else flew them, they would get a bill either way, right? So this is just letting them know, like, we have aircraft all around these areas and we serve this area. So basically the point of them getting this membership when they very first voted on it was to keep that money here in the county instead of, say, them having to pay the large majority of that and sending it to West Plains, Missouri for the amount of flights that they do out of this area.
How
So
often,
it was,
I'm sorry, I mean, I just don't want to forget, how often do you not have aircraft available?
if it was inclement weather, we were already on another flight, but here in this area, I think we've served it well. There really hasn't been any complaints. I don't think that we haven't had aircraft available. We have helicopter and fixed wing. We have bases in Elko, in Ely, in Reno, so we have bases all around this area that we can utilize to serve this area.
So do you have any records for us of how many people you actually flew out and how many times we called you that you could not come?
I could certainly get you that information. We asked what questions we were gonna have to address at this meeting and were never told, so we thought it was for the terms and conditions. The last update I got, I think we did, and I'll have to verify this with operations because I'm sure it's more now, but 62 flights I think that we did out of the area last year. And I can find that out for you, the exact number.
So if we don't go with you and a family wants to take the same type of coverage that the county has been covering, how much does it cost for me or my family or single family?
So our memberships start at $85 a year. That covers everybody in the household. And we have multi-year plans too, 3, 5, and 10 years that get a little less expensive than that. Our memberships, if anyone in the household is over 60, that goes down to $65 a year. Basically, they can actually opt to get it for themselves if they'd like to, and they have the optional Fly You Home program, which we still sell here for people who do any traveling. So they can add that on right now. So that's kind of where our memberships start.
Okay, so let me just say 100, it's easier to do. So we have 5,700 people in the county, and it's $100 a piece,
$85 for a household is where it would start.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, 57,000? How did we get to 70?
Is that for just the local area? Because we have a national.
It is, it's for the national, plan. And so last time when we did this, the population, I think that they had here are you saying that you only have 5,700 households?
That's what we've been using, that's what been coming down from all the information, 57 something.
Households, right?
Yeah.
Correct? So the way you're like saying it is like you have
Well, even if we
5,700
had
people.
6,000, I mean, that's still only 60,000 at 100, and you're less than 100, and I'm going, I don't understand how we jumped to 70,000.
We aren't households, we are actually, that's our population.
Is 5,700 people?
Correct.
Huh. Yeah, I can get you the formula that they used for the breakdown on the municipal site plan if you'd like.
Bert, we had asked you about MedX. Did you get a chance to check with another carrier?
We did, we reached out. I believe there's a gentleman sitting out here that
Commissioner, if
maybe
you
can
can
speak.
open it up for public comment.
Any public comment?
And I do apologize, it would have been on the agenda, but with the way the time frame and the correspondence went back and forth, we
Okay.
could not add them to the
That's okay,
agenda, so
we
I didn't
can-
wanna postpone this down the road.
We can still discuss it, right?
Public comment.
Good morning, Paul Ward with MedXR1. I'm the executive director for the organization. This is a very complicated matter, and it can get very confusing very quickly, so don't feel frustrated if you're feeling a little lost. The manager's office reached out to me to open up a dialogue over this topic. So if I could just provide you a little bit of background about us as an organization, and then we can kind of go from there. So MedX started in Winnemucca. We have a helicopter there, and then we also have a helicopter in Elko at both of the hospitals. We have 2 airplanes in Elko, and then we have an airplane in Ely. Our parent organization is a company called Classic Air Medical. They operate in the Rocky Mountain West, and it's a rather large air medical operation that operates in towns similar to Battle Mountain, small mountainous areas. And then Classic Air Medical is owned by an organization called Intermountain Healthcare. Intermountain Healthcare is based out of Utah, and their mission is to lower the cost of healthcare. And so that's something we're very proud of, to be part of an organization that's mission is to save healthcare dollars. So to the discussion today at hand, with the passage of the No Surprise Balanced Billing Act at the beginning of this year, or it taking effect at the beginning of this year, there were some stipulations in there that required any emergent treatment or any emergent services provider to treat all patients with an in-network manner, meaning that there's going to be no balance bill for emergent services, and that was across the board for all providers. And so that risk of receiving a balance bill was essentially rendered null and void. And as Gina pointed out, it took the patient out of the middle, and it's it's an exciting thing, and for the industry, it's a step in the right direction. So from there, the question is, how do you, as responsible fiduciaries of the county, how do you minimize the risk of your constituents to that surprise balance bill? And in the past, to Commissioner Sparks' point earlier, that this is an evolution of things and life is an evolution of things. In the past, memberships in the air medical industry were very common, and they were pushed with the intent to protect against balanced billing. And so the issue that remains is the issue of copays, deductibles, those without insurance, Medicare beneficiaries without any kind of supplemental plan. There's a lot of nuances there that the question is, what do you do? And while it is noble to try to prevent those things in the incidence of an air medical transport, but it's important to remember that those are risks that patient population faces with all of their healthcare situations. So while that may be a protection for them from an air medical situation, it's not a protection from the hospital that they're going to. It's not a protection of any other healthcare services. So as an organization of the commission, it is our opinion that $70,000 could be spent in a much better manner to protect that risk of undue financial burden to your population through other means, like educating the public, helping them secure supplemental plans if they're a Medicare beneficiary, just other means to protect them from the entirety of the risk, not just from less than 1% of the risk.
I have a question. Do county commissions usually get involved in this, or do hospitals usually get involved in this?
It depends on the area. It's in Nevada, it's not uncommon for commissioners to get involved in this just because of the ruralness of the area. It's very typical in Wyoming as well, so it's not an uncommon topic for rural America.
And if I may,
go ahead.
because we actually offer a membership, so White Pine County just voted to cover their county to try to keep dollars in the area. And part of it is, as you pointed out, because we are so rural, that they're going to get flown out. You know what I mean? That's not the question at hand. I mean, we don't have trauma facilities here. We don't have a lot of specialty stuff in our area. If someone gets in a car wreck and we can't treat it here and they have a trauma, if someone has cardiac issues, we're going to fly them out. They are going to get billed the copay, the deductible, and the co-insurance. So I guess the question is, if you look at the price of a flight and the price of what you're paying to cover an entire county, and you compare those two, and to keep the money in the county that they would be not only on the hook for financially and probably financially devastated by that amount because the flights are quite pricey, they would be sending that monthly payment out of your area as well. So it's to keep the money in the area and to cover the people who don't have the insurances that are going to cover the entire flight.
I thought that if you didn't have insurance, it was a write-off.
Essentially, yes.
Not always. You have to send in a lot of documentation on your income and everything, and then they determine whether or not
There's-
what portion of the bill to write off.
Correct. There's a lot of paperwork involved.
There
but-
really is, so it's not a guarantee that it's gonna be written off, or how much of the bill is gonna be written off.
Not only that, I might say that it's for some people that have no idea how to write that stuff off. I mean, we've had some people in town that we've had to help jump through those hoops, because it is very confusing for them, and it's almost, they throw their hands up and pay the $10 a month until they die, because there's no way they can understand how to put in that paperwork to get it written off, or who to contact, to have them helped in that case. So.
And not only that, but a lot of the people too, they just don't understand. You know, a lot like people who have Medicaid, Part B is a prime example. They typically still have a 20% portion that they have to pay of that flight bill, which is pretty substantial. And that's for people who can qualify for Medicaid. So you gotta imagine what that's doing to them financially to have to send that money out every month. That's what the membership program is for. With this membership program, when you guys contacted us, because it was you that contacted us because you were with another company that was not serving the area or the agreement that they had at the time sufficiently, and asked us to get into this the municipal site plan and come up with options for you. It was for that reason. They had a lot of people that were getting bills from this area that didn't understand that there was caps in their insurance. All they saw when they were reading their insurance plan was that it would cover flight coverage, but it didn't tell them that it was only $10,000 of it. So they were thinking they were covered, and they weren't. So that's what the membership program essentially does, is if they get flown out by us, they're protected from that bill. They have an entire patient advocate team that deals with the insurance company for them. If the insurance company comes back and says, we don't feel like that was a medically necessary flight, we're gonna pay $0, they're still off the hook for any of that. That's what we take.
For somebody who's been flown out twice, it was a godsend that I was double covered, because if not, I was paying the remainder of at least one of those bills, which was about $15,000 to $18,000 that I would have been responsible for. But thank God I was double covered. And then after that, I had a doctor say, you better get the coverage. So that's been years ago. I started getting the coverage myself, because I would have had no idea that I would have just thought my insurance would have covered it, and it would not have. So just food for thought.
Let me ask you,
Actually, sorry,
and
why
I'm
we
sorry,
offer-
maybe you don't have it, but on the MedX, because I know we use you too in Lander County. Do you have any idea how many you've flown out?
So roughly it's around 90 a year out of the area. We've been serving the area since 2015, and it ebbs and flows, but it's usually around 80 to 90 a year. And we're very proud of the fact that none of them have received a bill. We don't have people knocking on our door saying that, I got an undue financial arrangement because we were flown out by MedX. And so that's something we're very proud of, and that's something that you haven't had to provide any money for.
When you say out of the area, you mean Lander County, or does that include Elko and?
Lander County specifically.
Who makes the call for air ambulance?
It kind of depends. If it's out of the hospital, whatever arrangement the hospital has, there's some federal laws that dictate who makes that determination, and that's known as EMTALA. And then with the emergency services aspect, with 911, it would be the PSAP, which would be your sheriff's dispatch.
So for $70,000 a year, we insure every single resident of Lander County, plus they can get extra insurance. And if they're flown out, they will not get a bill.
Correct, or if they had a lapse in insurance, and it's not just here, what you guys are paying for your full plan that you've had now for several years is the entire footprint. So when they travel out of Lander County, say they go to Elko grocery shop and they go to Texas to visit family, if any of our locations pick them up, they're still covered. That's what you guys have bought in the past for your constituents.
I have a question regarding your bill, though. You say that they're covered, but I have individuals that were care flighted out of here by reach, and I have a $110,000 bill for them.
And sometimes the billing process, because it is an entire county, they don't have everybody's name in the household. So typically what they do is they call the billing department. They let us know where their permanent address is and that they're here. We work with them, and then we get it taken care of.
He did call, and they told him he didn't have anything, there was nothing they could do for him, that he was not covered.
And when was this?
Back, where did he go?
A month ago.
I want to say maybe in the last 4 months.
Okay, well, you would definitely have to give me that information because you have been covered.
Are you part of REACH?
I am,
Yes.
well, I'm Air Medicare Network, yes, their membership provider.
But is that that's part of REACH?
It is, yeah.
Yes.
Wait a minute, though, our contract terminated the end of February. Was
Yes,
it-
this was prior to
It
our
was prior
contract
to?
termination, yes.
Yes, we have a couple of them bills that are outstanding with citizens of our county, and that's my concern with, and why I point out the fact that if they don't have a fixed wing or a helicopter available, and somebody else has to come in and get them, my understanding is the patient is on the hook at that point.
They would be, no matter what, even with Classic, who actually does have the membership program that they offer as well.
That was canceled.
They would, yes, we only cover ours, like, we're not gonna pay for another company's air transport, that's not what this is. So basically, yes, if we fly you, then you're covered for us. And the bill, yes, certainly get me the information and I'll happily look into it, because if it was previous to that and he was covered, then it's just a billing issue.
You give us a reason why you're not available?
Weather, inclement weather, if they were, if it wasn't safe to fly, if they were on another patient transport, those would be typically the two reasons. Aircraft was down.
I think that's why we asked for the numbers, yeah, to see how many you really weren't there for that had to go another way.
How many different carriers fly out of this area?
So that's a good question, yeah. So, REACH, us, and then CareFlight, services Austin area as well.
So there's three.
And
those
we
are
actually are
those
the
main
membership
ones.
provider for CareFlight as well.
So you provide memberships for 2 out of the 3.
We do, yes.
Well, I think there needs to be a point of clarification on that, so that covers the rotors as well?
It does. Their membership program, yes.
It does?
Yes.
Okay.
The Air Medcare covers the fixed wing. We manage the membership program now for REMSA CareFlight.
Okay.
So if they'd like to buy that separately, if they travel in those areas,
So-
then that covers
so
all
if-
of their areas as well.
If I'm understanding this correctly, there's 90 flights roughly a year that come out of here that our citizens are responsible and then on the hook for that. And I think am I understanding that correctly, that you guys fly 90?
So we fly roughly 80 to 90 a year out of this area, and none of them have received a balance bill, and the county didn't have to fork out tax dollars to make that coverage.
And we didn't have to have a membership with you to do it.
Correct.
But they did have to pay the deductible and stuff.
So the deductibles, that is an aspect of their health care, but usually, the hospitals are gonna chew that deductible up before we ever get to it.
So that's, and tell me if I'm wrong to clarify this, so that's kind of how Medics does it, so they delay billing on it. So it's not that they're covered or that they don't get those bills, because as air ambulance companies, by law, we all have to bill the same thing, they're going to get billed for that. So what they're doing is hoping that basically the hospital bills will eat up the deductible copay and coinsurance, but there's really no guarantee that that's the case. So if it didn't eat those up, then they would be on the hook for it.
Lakin?
Yeah, Lakin Sullivan for the record. I just have public comment. So my mom is someone that has reached out to Gina multiple times about a bill that they were responsible for from my dad being flown out, and she never got any response back. And I'm not arguing against this, because I think it's a great thing that you guys offer the community. But if they're not getting the help that they need, and we're paying the $70,000, and they're not getting back to our residents, then what are we paying for? So I just wanted the commissioner to be aware of
I'd
that,
like to see
because
a
my
resolution.
parents end up paying their bill because they never got response.
I'd like to see resolution on those bills that are outstanding before we consider paying $70,000. I wanna know why they're not covered.
And I'm happy to get involved and help with that. Typically, my role in that is putting them in touch with the patient advocates. So I don't handle billing, I put them in touch with their patient advocate, and then, let them know that they are covered by an MSP, and typically at that point it gets resolved.
Well, I can tell you, he contacted the number that was on there, he was transferred about 4 times to 4 different people, and when the outcome came, that basically said that he wasn't covered and there was nothing they could do about it.
And we have a pamphlet that was given to us by Gina, and it has her contact information on the back of it, and it shows who's all covered under Air Medcare. And that's who we give to the residents when they come to the counter. So if they're not getting responses back, they're not getting any help.
What does it cost to go to Salt Lake City?
So far as cost goes versus bill charges, those are gonna be different, but, typically there's, a base rate and then a per mileage rate. And so, the bill that was mentioned is close to what is usually billed, between 90 to 100,000.
There's nobody, well, there's
But
some
to-
people in town
to the-
that
to
can
the-
afford that, but, nobody in here can.
But to the point of what the federal legislation provided is that it did not allow whatever balance is not paid by insurance, that leftover remaining balance has to be written off because
And
it's.
if they're an indigent and they don't have insurance, that's written off. too.
Or if they're not in network, and no, that's not the case if they don't. So
But
it's only
yet
if they're
we
in
have
network.
people in Lander County that owe $90,000,
110.
110. Did he have insurance? Did they have insurance?
Yes.
He also had the VFW fly card too.
Yes.
And they still sent him bill for $190,000.
This is why I'm so confused, and I need
Boy,
clarification.
This thing is full of complexities.
Yes, so how do you guys not bill, and how do we end up with the bill if we're going through you and they're contracted for the 70? How does the billing, how do you end up not billing? We don't even have a contract with you. How do you not bill?
So again, because we're an emergent provider, it's federal law now that you cannot balance bill.
For clarification though, you do bill though, correct?
Yes, everybody bills.
Everybody has to bill.
So we bill.
The insurance.
Yeah, we bill
But
the
not
insurance, but the patient is not going to receive a balance bill from that point, so.
You don't charge the house insurance, the auto insurance.
We'll there'll be efforts to collect from whatever provider that provides the insurance for that patient. Typically, just like 911 ambulances that the county operates, they'll do the same process of charging whatever insurance companies that cover that patient. And then from there, whatever remaining balance that is left, that amount is written off.
I have never heard of a health issue going and billing car insurance, house insurance. I mean, where did that stuff come from? Man, why?
It's more like if it was a car wreck.
Yeah, so
And
in the
it would say
instances
the
of
other person's fault, they would bill that car insurance. It's
Correct.
always been that way.
Correct.
Can I ask when the balance bill new law took effect?
So that took effect January 1.
Okay, because I know that's still happening. I mean, I have lots of bills from last year when my husband was flew out, and our insurance is still fighting the people that are billing us because that's exactly what they're trying to do is balance bills.
So am I correct in this, that since the new law went into effect, it is not purposeful to have a contract, or am I missing that?
You are correct.
And I completely disagree, and so does several circuit courts who have ruled in membership's favor recently. So like I said, the difference between what we're doing is that they're just delay billing. They're billing the same thing, but they're delaying it in hopes that the hospital deductibles and the other doctors that are billing will eat up the deductible and the copay before the flight bill comes to them so that it's already met. But that's kind of hedging the bet because it's not a guarantee that it would do that. Right?
But it's in the favor of the patient.
Correct.
They're doing that in favor of the patient.
The patient's still getting hospital bills. It's just not from the air flight place first. They're just letting the hospitals and everything bill first so that it eats up the deductible and stuff before their bill comes in, if that makes sense. But if it didn't eat up that deductible, they would be on the hook for that amount still.
Okay.
Somebody from Austin?
Yeah, this is Kim Schott with Lander County EMS in Austin, Nevada, and I'm speaking as a citizen. I will just state for the record that with MedX, I had my husband flown out, and the hospital did not do their paperwork correctly. So therefore, that bill fell on our lap. We did receive a call from MedX stating that insurance did not receive the hospital's paperwork correctly. They are not going to get paid for this. We did not receive a bill. We were not responsible in any way, shape, or form for that bill. They had to take a loss, and they did take a loss because they were never able to bill and pay the hospital for or get paid from our insurance because the hospital didn't do their paperwork correctly. I will say, as a provider, the people in Southern Lander County have come back to me with high praises. One of the big things is the burden of unnecessary bills, and a lot of these people are uninsured, and that is something that, as a patient advocate, really calms the patient before they have to be flown out, because that is their biggest fear, is it is going to ruin their life if they get a bill, and there is no way these retirees will ever be able to pay for that. I will say, as a provider, the prompt care from MedX has been substantial. The time frame from the time they get here is above all others. and their service to the people are just amazing. I, as a citizen, am concerned about paying my tax dollars going to $70,000 and possibly getting a bill when there's just another option. What are we paying for? Is my question.
Yeah, that's my question too. I'm kind of confused because if a person doesn't have any insurance, it's a write-off. But if a person has insurance and it's only gonna pay a portion of it, they get stuck with a bill. How'd that happen?
It's not a write-off necessarily if they don't have any insurance. Again, they have to send in their financial statements and stuff for them to determine like how much of that bill is gonna be written off. But your other option then too is if you don't see the benefit of having a contract with it, you could not do the contract and then leave it to the private citizens to purchase the membership on their own. I mean, some counties opt to do that, and the citizens can decide whether or not they feel like the membership has value, and then they can decide to purchase it themselves.
Well, that's what you're saying, Pastor, right? It's cheaper if a private citizen buys the membership and then
We
provide that to the county, and we give them a credit back or something before it, then the negotiated contract for $70,000.
But
right?
what MedX is saying is you don't even need that membership.
No, exactly, yeah, no, I understand,
Yeah.
I'm just saying on the.
Well, that's only if they're available.
Yeah, that was my point.
When my son was up here.
I do have another comment, as to
Hold on.
the fact that, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Austin.
Okay, I would like to also make a comment. Another patient that had brought their bill back to me, they were in Churchill County and flown out, and they did receive a bill because they were not in our county. And this would have been a bill from REACH.
And that would have had to be the first year, because you guys opted to do a partial municipal site plan at that point, if you recall, which only covered them if they were in the county. And then we had several of those issues where people were flown when they were going to Elko or going somewhere else. And so then the commission voted to do the full plan so that they would be covered for the entire footprint.
Hold on, Austin.
Nolina Castellanos for the record. My son had an incident here in Lander County. He was in complete VFib. Luckily, the hospital got it down, got it regulated. Neither one of these guys were available to fly him out. So he was not flown out, luckily, and we were able to get him to Elko later that morning. But neither one of these were available. So that's also an option that we face here in the rural area, that might not be available.
Okay. Austin, you have anything to say?
Yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Sparks? You want to say something?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Austin?
Sometimes I will say that these services are just not available, and we understand that as a whole, because weather plays a big role on whether we're going to get a flight in or not, and we understand that. But just as a citizen, I'm concerned about this big cost that we are paying out and what it covers, and there's no reassurance. You know, I mean, these people think that they're going to get something they're not going to get. I do understand both these companies do the best they can. However, I would like to know from REACH, what kind of services do you provide as far as sending out notices of the changes that you contract with the county, and what these services to these people are? Because I have yet to ever receive anything in the mail.
So when we very first did the contract, we did direct mailers and your local print advertising. We also do the health fair here every year for anyone that has questions, and we've been at the commission meeting every year to address that as well.
Okay, well, I will say that I am unaware of that, because I have had several people, they don't have any idea what's going on. It does not come through the mail. And I can't say that everybody hasn't received that, as a whole, but I have had numerous people say that they had no idea that the county was even contracted with REACH, because there was no documentation and nobody has ever been made aware of that.
We wrote an ad in the paper with the county to let the constituents know that this was something that the commissioners had purchased for them. I mean, we're happy to do more direct mailers or more advertising if the commission feels like that's something that needs to be done.
Okay, so if I bought the best plan that you have, which is what I thought we were covering, that means no matter where I am, if you pick me up, you can take me any place, right?
Yes,
If
if
it's
any
one-
of our over 320 locations
Anywhere
across the
in your
United States,
network.
if it is one of ours that picks you
Okay,
up, you would be
and how much will that cost me?
$85 a year would cover your household.
Cover the household.
Okay, that's 1 or 10 people?
Correct.
Okay, so if we did a reimbursement of $85 back, like we do when you take your dog in to be neutered and we give you $50. Show us your membership, we'll verify it and send you back the $85. And then we can call MedX in between, and if we call you and you can't come and CareFlight comes, that's covered under CareFlight. That's
CareFlight
you.
has a separate membership that they can opt to buy as well.
That's a
It's not covered under the same.
It's not covered under yours?
No, CareFlight is a completely separate company. We just handle their memberships for
Okay,
them. So
I
if they opt to buy
Thought
that,
you said it might be in your network, it's not.
they have their own separate membership
Okay,
that we
got it.
service
Okay.
for their service provider.
You have something to say?
And so that, as you can see, it's confusing, and the thing that's important to remember is that the closest, most appropriate asset is what should be called regardless of whose name is on the side of it. But as you're getting involved in it as a commission, again, your responsibility is what can you do to provide some sort of risk assurance to your constituents for undue financial hardship. And as you stated, life is an evolution, and we've evolved beyond needing memberships to ensure that. And yes, there is a fraction of the population that may possibly benefit if they choose to pay for something. That's great. That's their prerogative. But our opinion is that $70,000 could educate the public much more effectively to include not just protection for air ambulance, but all sorts of hospital services that they're probably not covered for already. And so just wanting to get bang for your buck with your tax dollars, it's our opinion that you could use those more effectively.
Well,
Kim Schott from Austin.
Okay, go ahead, Austin.
I would also like to point out, the issues that have arose in the past is, people want hard answers like our dispatch. Who do we text first, or who do we dispatch out first? And I know that as far as dispatch, there's a line they go through. However, it is a patient's right to choose who they want for a provider to respond. And it takes a lot of time to fight with, trying to get that right provider that these patients want. Also, when they're being flown out, I will say our history in the past with MedX was they will take them and they will really explain to the patient where the nearest appropriate place is for them. However, it has been very beneficial to the patient that they can go basically in the direction they need to go. I'm just a huge patient advocate. I don't know where you guys stand as far as getting membership. I just can't say enough about MedX. And it's a patient's right to choose is my big issue here. And if you contract with them, I don't want these patients feeling like they have to go with one company over another company before they can get that provider to respond.
Okay, hold on, Austin. Lakin?
So you said that CareFlight has its own membership, so the $70,000 that the county's paying for, who is that cover? Is it
Air
REACH?
Medicare Network, REACH, yeah.
And CareFlight's part of that?
CareFlight Fixed Wing is part of that, but CareFlight Remza has they're a separate company from us.
So if the citizens had to pay their own, the $85 covers who?
Covers the Air Medicare, the 300 and like.
How much is the CareFlight?
$65 a year, I believe, is their membership to cover that.
So is that how the county got to the $70,000? Cause we're paying for the $85 one and the $65
No, they're
one?
separate
No.
companies.
But she's saying
But
it's
in-
covered.
But
So that's where I'm confused.
no, it's covered on their fixed wing for CareFlight,
But CareFlight has
another different agency.
Yeah, CareFlight has, it's its own separate company. We just handle their memberships for them.
okay, so that's
Kim
not
Schott for the record.
It's not.
This is where I've been
Austin?
trying to explain this for a long time, and it is very confusing, and it has been explained that CareFlight is covered, and their rotor is not. And I would like that to be stated for the record that their helicopter is not covered under this. It is only the fixed wing. And I would also like to state that it takes upwards of 2 hours for that fixed wing to get to our facility, and in that time we could have our patients call in.
So how many flights a year do we have that we have the CareFlight? They are 90 a year.
We do, I have no idea on the numbers, and maybe Kim could has an idea, but I do know, and like they said, if they're busy. CareFlight is, we often call CareFlight, because they're right out of Fallon. And so I know we have used them.
I would like to state that we do put it out to our residents that they need to be aware that they do live in the most rural areas of Nevada, and it is very important for them to become members with other providers outside of what Lander County covers or MedX is free, because there is that issue. We don't always bank on the helicopter coming from Fallon, because they do not. Fallon will rarely come to Austin past Cold Springs. However, their rotors come from everywhere. Most likely it's from Gardnerville. But the bottom line is there is some personal responsibility on the citizens of Lander County to make sure that they're covered in all areas, but to know that we are trying to do right by them by alleviating these undue costs.
Can I get clarification on the new law that passed? Because that's where I think probably the bone of contention is lying here, is if there's a new law that's passed and they aren't being bounce billed or however you guys refer to it, then that would answer the question of, do we enter into a contract, or do we, and you're saying that they hedge against it, but I guess I'm having a difficult time understanding.
So the new law basically made it, if you're in network with the insurance company, made it so that they had a mediator for the billing, like say the air, ambulance company and the insurance company to be able to work together and take the patient out of the middle. It doesn't help if they're out of network or if they're uninsured, or if they're like something where they have, the Medicare Part B, where they are on the hook for like the 20%.
Okay.
So if they're uninsured, they're on the hook for the whole thing,
Exactly.
for your company as well.
So there's a little bit of misrepresentation. Any emergent services provider has to treat every patient as though they were in network. That is what the bill states. And so whether it's us, whether it's another aviation provider, whether it's a hospital, they have to be treated as an in-network patient, even if they're not technically in network.
And they have to be billed for the insurance, the deductible, and the co-insurance.
Yes.
All of them.
If you have someone who is not covered by Medicaid, does not have anything, and
Correct.
they are care flown out, they're responsible, or if they're flown out, even with your company, they're on the hook for the entire bill.
Correct, and there's a process to go through where they, they demonstrate a financial hardship, and then they're not responsible for it. But there's, like Kim said, there's an onus of their own. They need to be involved in their health care, because it's not just any air ambulance bill. They're going to be responsible for the hospital bills. They're going to be responsible for the ground ambulance bills, and a membership doesn't protect against those things.
Well, and some of this comes with older community.
Right.
That there's no way you can say you have to be responsible for your own medical stuff, because that's so far out of the scope of their idea.
Right.
That they don't think they're ever gonna get sick, and then they have a massive heart attack.
I agree with Kathy, because there are people that just don't know how to do this.
Right.
And what I'm hearing is pay $70,000 and you're not gonna have a bill and everything's gonna be beautiful. And then I hear, oh my God, you got unbelievable paperwork to fill out.
Exactly, complexities.
So, I had thought that with the plan that we've been in, that everything was gonna be covered. That was my understanding. And I'm hearing that we have a resident here in Lander County that owes $110,000?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Sean, 110?
Yes, 109.
$109,000.
He also has his VFW flight card too, and he called, I think it was Reach, right, Liz?
Yep.
Okay, and they told him pretty much tough, pay it, or talk to your
Yeah.
insurance.
That's where I got a big problem. I need that resolved before I can move forward on paying $70,000.
Kim Schott for the record.
Is this Austin?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So as a citizen, it is my belief that $70,000 could be better spent in a patient advocacy program that could assist these people that do not have insurance in getting those indigent papers filled out.
Bob's not indigent, he has
John,
insurance.
come on,
Sorry.
you know the drill.
Yeah, Sean Baker for the record, Bob also has insurance, so he has a fly card, like I said, from BFW, and he has insurance, and they still bill him. So he's not indigent.
He's
in
not
that sense.
indigent, he has the VFW, he has, is it Medicare or Medicaid?
Yep.
And he's still got a full $110,000 bill.
And he should have been covered under REACH.
It should have been covered under REACH, and the other two should have been billed to pick up part of that as well.
Under what they're saying by the law, so.
Correct.
Now, hold on just one second, I got one question about this. Did the hospital do all their paperwork that they were supposed to do? Because I'm hearing from these two
Well, now
people.
it's something I need to
I'm
go
hearing
back
from
and check.
I'm hearing from these two people that the hospital needs to be involved and has to fill out the paperwork properly.
Okay. Well, and I'll check into that too. Get back
Is
to
that
you.
a correct statement, a fact?
There's paperwork everywhere that needs to be correct. So.
It is correct, but at the same point, REACH should have assisted when they got that phone call that said, hey, I have a $110,000 bill, can you help me with it? At that point, I think that considering we even had a membership at that point, they should have stepped in and helped assisted with the hospital and this individual to try and get it fixed.
And I absolutely agree with that statement. Like, I'm not familiar with this exact situation, but we've had this same agreement for several years, and I would say this is probably the exception to the rule. This doesn't happen very often. There is gonna be errors in billing, especially when you're trying to cover entire counties on occasion. Typically, it gets resolved a lot easier than this, so I hate
Well, you got
hearing-
two right here.
Yeah,
It's not
so
just
I
that
hate
one, you got
hearing
another
that
one.
This happened, and I'll certainly look into that. But normally, when they give us a phone call and we hook them up with their patient advocate and let them know that they are covered as a county, it's usually a pretty easy process for them to
So
not.
here's another question I have. Who determines which care flight you're gonna bring in?
It's usually the closest appropriate asset that's available.
It varies where you're at. It's, but yes, the appropriate response should be that it's the closest, most appropriate one.
Yeah, but who makes that determination?
Yeah, who makes
is
the
question.
determination?
It depends on the situation. So if it's a hospital, it should be a physician. If it's 911 services, then it's usually some sort of arrangement of an internal protocol with the dispatch center.
We. You knew it,
Can I
Robert. You
put my
smiled.
2 cents worth in? Last year, my wife was flown out, and when we were at the hospital, I had my choice of which company flew her out and where she was going.
Yeah, we did too when Danny was going out. They asked.
Tim Schott.
Hold
for the
on,
record.
Austin, hold on a second. Robert?
Okay.
Would you please explain your protocol?
Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office. We absolutely do not choose, for the 911 dispatchers, do not choose who to call. If a request is made from an ambulance on the scene, we require them to tell us who to call.
Okay. Thank you, Robert.
Tim
Okay,
Schott for the
Austin?
record. Can I explain this a little bit?
Austin, you're up.
Okay, so for the past however long I've been here, upwards of 10 years, it is in my experience, we have a very vast area down here in southern Lander County. So where the closest appropriate facility is generally, depending on where you are located. You know, I mean, of course, if it's something major, and I'm sorry if we have a contract or not, if it's closer to Fallon and I need to call that helicopter, I'm going to save a patient's life. However, we know just from experience what company is going to get here the soonest. And it has been my experience, if we're gonna choose between our paid contract people and MedX, it has been bar none MedX. And I'm not just saying that because I don't really know these people and I don't really care. However, I'm speaking, if it's gonna take 20 minutes longer for another plane, and I don't have time for dispatch to be calling around for these, and they don't either. So it is generally, I'm the one that makes the call per patient, what is going on at that particular time. I want the closest, the fastest we can get. And I can't be waiting another 30 minutes when every second counts out here because we have a contract.
So, I mean, I don't have firsthand experience with either, but if I'm listening and I'm hearing correctly, and if I misspeak, please tell me, but I'm about simplicities, and it's like, what I'm hearing is one company is more of an advocate for the patients and the families by trying to handle it all for them, and others are having problems because they're having to go back, they're not getting calls returned. And it's just, if I'm just looking at the simplicity of it, it would sound to me like one company shines over the other. That's my 2 cents.
Sean?
Just another thing, so the families that are having issues in town right now, where do they reach out to?
Well, there's usually on their billing a patient advocate phone number, which is in West Plains, Missouri. But that's normally who they would call, and they would be assigned a patient advocate who would get on the phone with them and help them resolve this.
Okay, because the other family that's having problems that reached out to county manager was the Ramsdale family when Marilyn got blown out, and she got a bill, and they pretty much told Dave and Marilyn the same thing that they told Bob. So, and if that's where they need to go, is they need to contact that number and move forward.
That's the number we contacted.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, any more comments, concerns?
Have you had anybody come to your office with a bill for MedX?
No.
Patsy?
Yeah, I would just like to say, I certainly don't want to take action on this today, I really don't. But under the 70,000, I think you need to go back and take a look at the price, whoever does that. I think you've got our population incorrect, number one. And along with it, if we did go with you again, I would say you give us the name of our personal contact, that we from Lander County, our HR can contact you or that person, and they will always be available to handle our situation. I think that personal contact would be a requirement of our contract with you. So I'd like to have you go back and do that. And thank you for showing up and helping us with the MedX too.
I'm fine, I'm the same, cause I'm from somebody who's been flown out before, and it wasn't even, Bill, when I got flown out, isn't anything like it is now, and I can't even imagine, that just is sickening. And it's very frustrating to try to get a hold of somebody and nobody ever calls you back.
Right.
That's.
Tim Holland is here, our representative from our health insurance. Did you have a comment?
I have a comment first.
Oh.
Come on up, Tim.
Go ahead.
Make your
So
comment.
it's just, I've lost my track of thought now. Go ahead, Tim, sorry. I'll get back on track here.
Tim Holland with LP Insurance. The Department of Homeland Health and Human Services did pass what we call the No Surprise Billing Act. These air ambulance companies are national. They did have a very local feel for a long time, but we are seeing more national. They do not want to contract with health insurance companies, so that's one of the reasons why we do get a lot of surprise billing on these things. This is going to change. I would not make anything permanent right now because there's a lot of litigation against the No Surprises Act, mainly by hospital systems in Texas. They do not want to fall under these things. So I just walked in on this, so, but this is gonna be a moving target for a little while.
Yeah.
And it's a whole, because we had a gentleman from 3D Concrete, went into the Elko Hospital complaining of chest pain, and by the time they diagnosed him, they said he was okay, he just had gastrointestinal issue, and they put him on a helicopter against his will, and he got a $33,000 bill. This is probably 5 years ago. So I wouldn't put anything in stone right now. Again, I just walked in on this, I'm not sure what's happening, but it's gonna be a moving target for, I would say, probably the next year of litigation.
So what do we do for our, do you remember what you had to say?
No, I don't.
What do we do
Let's not
for,
get
in
too
the,
far.
in the meantime,
So-
what do we do for our citizens?
Yes, this is what I wanted to get to for just a point of clarification, because the way that I understand this is we don't have to do absolutely anything because the laws that are in place, if somebody is shipped out and their insurance and all of that is not covered and their low incomes, what they have to do is provide the paperwork to show that they are low income, and a lot of that gets washed. If otherwise, they pay the premiums on their insurance, which we would all be responsible for any medical procedure. And once them are paid, then they're pretty much out of the equation and it's taken care of anyway. If I'm misrepresenting or misunderstanding, please correct me, but that's what I gathered from this conversation so far. I just want to put this in a nutshell to make sure we aren't leaving our citizens uncovered or in jeopardy.
Would all three of you agree with that statement?
Tim, please introduce yourself and who you are to the county.
Tim Holland with LP Insurance, and I am the health insurance advocate for the county. To your question, it's whether it's an in-network benefit or an out-of-network benefit. And a lot of these places are non-contracted facilities, and so you're getting a whole different level of what people think if they're getting in-network. This is my deductible. This is the gap between my deductible and what Reach and different companies should make, but they're non-contracted copters a lot of times, whole different ballfield.
And that's where the membership comes in, at least for us, because if they were on the hook for any portion of that bill, then the membership should cover that, that's the point of it.
And then they're getting balanced billed.
But
Then I
they
guess
have
that-
the option of buying it themselves, so if, like I said, that's another option for you guys to consider too. I mean, if they see the benefit of having that, it's like a spare tire, they can purchase it for themselves as well.
So I guess, Tim, as our insurance provider, what is your recommendation to our board as to the smartest thing to do for our constituents of the county?
This is why the No Surprises Act is being talked about, is because these companies will absolutely assist you with your out-of-pocket expenses of what your health plan needs and meets. But then the company on its own is sending an enormous bill for what we call balance billing, meaning they're a non-contracted facility, so they feel they can bill what they want. And they bill extremely high and hope to settle different things. What she said, you're dealing with an outfit out of Missouri, and these things that act local are not local. And then you're getting automated bills, and you just feel like you're in a big hole.
Well, I want to go back to the in-network, out-of-network stuff. Didn't you say that everything has to be treated as in-network?
Correct.
Yes.
When you go to the emergency room, it's,
And
yes.
I need to make a comment at this point in time on the contract, the new contract that they wrote up. There's number 9 and number 10. Clause 9 and clause 10, I put a no by both of them, because on 9 it says that we would fall under the laws of the state of Missouri without regard to conflicts or choice of law principles. And number 10, it says the place of arbitration, it's binding arbitration. The place of arbitration will be St. Louis, Missouri. So if anybody's contesting these things, it has to be done in Missouri. And that's a long ways to go to contest anything.
Okay, we've talked about this a pretty long time. Is there anyone ready to make a motion? Anybody down here ready to make a motion?
He can't hear you.
No motion.
Done.
That's done. Thank you very much. We're gonna take a 10-minute break.
This conference is no longer being recorded. Muted.
We gotta get Laura out of here. Are you number 7, Laura?
11.
11.
Unmuted. This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're gonna jump ahead. Laura has a dentist appointment. The requested action of the Lander County Commission is for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove the amended contract for the second project with pictometry in the amount not to exceed $167,425.39. These guys do the aerial stuff.
Laura Duval, assessor for the record. This is the last modification to the existing contract, which was originally a 3-year contract. The gentleman that worked for the company that originally drafted it, we had some miscommunications, so we actually changed the way that they do their flights. We have them fly the area that is in our physical reappraisal right before we go out there. So that's why we've had to do these couple of modifications, because we want all those aerials done before we're out in the field in that area. So we're going to be entering into a new contract for the next 3 years that we'll be doing later this year. So I'll be bringing that to you. So we're going to fine tune it, make sure that I don't have to come back and do modifications and changes. We're going to make sure that we're going to meet actually together in person and go over it and make sure that everything is done the way geographically that we want it done. So this is the last change. They're doing the southern part, they're doing Austin and some of the ranch areas out there, actually here next month probably. So this will be the last change, and then when we come forward with the new contract, like I said, then we should be good for the next 3 years, and I won't have to ask for any modifications.
And they're working good for you?
Very good,
Okay.
yes.
And for the record, it's fully covered under your budget,
Under my technology fund, yes.
right?
Yes,
That technology fund,
yes,
thank you.
yes.
We ready for a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the amended, I'll make a motion that we approve the amended contract for the second project with the Cometry in the amount not to exceed $167,425.39.
I'll second the motion.
Can you authorize the chair to sign?
And authorize the chair to sign.
Kathy made the motion, Patsy seconded, any more discussion, comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, passes unanimously.
Thank
Get out of
you.
here, go to Dennis.
Thank you.
Okay, who's on the chopping block now? Number 5. The requested action of the Lander County Commission is discussion on a new ways to promote, publicize, and advertise positions to fill Lander County boards in an attempt to reach out to more people. This is an action item. Come on up.
So I think it's important that, we're addressing the board, but it's anything message we're trying to get out in Lander County, I just found that it's like, I don't know, I almost feel like we're still dated in the way that we get it out. I don't know I just thought if we could put our heads together, we could,
That's what I was thinking too, that we could just kinda.
Okay, well, I'm assuming that we do Facebook and social media.
I don't know, I'm not a
You?
social media guy, so.
When I'm doing advertising postments for jobs, I do put it on social media. But I'm running it through, I put it on the Battle Mountain, community info page, but I'm running it through my social media page. So that's up to you guys if you actually want me to create an actual county page.
That's the question. Do you want to create a social media page?
I know the
for
clerk's
Lander
office
County?
just created one for the clerk. I know a lot of other counties do it, other departments, so it's up to you how you guys wanna do it. But I am
Who would
funneling them
handle it?
through Me.
Do you mind doing anything like that? Because I know a lot of the other counties do.
I don't know what it
No, it's
entails.
easy. It's not, it's easy to run and manage.
Okay.
Yeah.
My son ran the webpage for the, 6th Judicial, is that Washoe County? He ran the page there. It's not a big deal. You just need a
Yeah.
tech to put it up and.
Yeah, the sheriff's office, I know they have a page, the clerk has a page. Yeah, it's simple.
Will we be putting other things on it besides
We can
this?
put
Oh,
anything
absolutely,
on
that's
it.
my
We can
point.
put notices,
Just,
Yeah.
it's a
everything.
form of communication, just,
Yeah.
too many
The
times you
other
hear it
thing-
like, well, I didn't know about that, I didn't see that, or,
Yeah.
it's just, I just wanna eliminate that because it just takes away a lot of problems.
I think it would be a good communication too, where people, well, really you can pick up some of the things that are happening. And one of the things I was thinking about though, and I wondered maybe if we just do a small little flyer and kind of go out to their community heartstrings and put it in like the water bills.
And
Yeah.
what-
Yeah, you can do that.
Printed out on a card, there's not much room for any dialogue on that. But I think,
Why don't we go through the post office and have them make up a little,
A mailer, flyer?
Yeah, but I'm thinking of something
go
that
through
comes
the
through in
post
the
office
county.
and
What do
give
we
it to
bill
everybody.
for monthly?
We pay a pretty good, postage every month for billing, at $400 and something, I think, a month,
Well,
that we pay in just postage for the billing on that. I'm not sure that we wanna add that expense to every advertised job per se, but.
And it's free. The social media stuff is free.
And people are gonna look there
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, and they're not gonna look on their bill for that kind of, something, if you put that on their bill, they're not gonna look for that.
No, I wasn't thinking on the bill, and I know you do just the postcard, but if we did 1 month where we did an envelope versus the postcard, the difference, but just the 1 month, and then put like something, an eye-catching small little flyer as they open it, not on the bill, but.
But then you're kind of, cause we don't always have board openings, so it's a matter of, well, then how do you determine what month to put that in there?
I think that's the only thing we send out monthly for billing, otherwise it's property taxes, but that's yearly.
Yeah.
Well, it was just to advise everybody that we do have advisory boards, and we really would like them stepping up,
We need
to
to- yeah,
think
we need
about
to fill a lot
being
of
involved in our community.
Maybe Miss Caitlin.
Caitlin McConville, planning coordinator for the record. Currently, the clerk's office handles the posting for when there's board appointments, and it's just a teeny tiny little blip in the bugle.
That's what I mean.
I mean, so even for me, when I go and look, it's pretty hard to find. So I think a Facebook page would definitely be beneficial. Me coming from the younger generation, everybody's on Facebook. The whole town talks about everything that's going around Facebook. So I definitely think that.
Wow, sounds like I'm missing out.
You definitely are. Not on much.
If people really knew what we were doing, there'd be a lot less grief.
Well, one of the issues I know that I've heard from different people is that there are people who are intimidated to sit on boards. And so I don't know, the conflict that goes on, and I know it goes on in all counties, but that they don't want that headache of the conflict of things that go on, amongst boards. And so, and some of that stuff might just be people are afraid to sit on boards. So that's just something to consideration. And the older generation, not all, but some of the older generation are on Facebook, not all of them, but you're gonna hit a wider, obviously, mailing of people on Facebook. But I think too, the other thing is that some people are intimidated to hold. Well, I saw a thing going across the television the other day that said how many people are dropping out of offices and quitting boards and stuff like that just because of the conflict amongst each other. And that's not just happening here, that's happening across the United States. So that's something, that people are a little leery of getting on boards and running for office and those kind of things. So that's just something that we can keep in mind.
Well, I know, Kathy, there will always be people that will never sit on a board for all kinds of reasons, but we want to at least reach out and tell them we'd like them involved in the community and to think about it. It's an invitation.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, no, I know you weren't. I said that takes some of the population.
I also think you could put a little flyer on the front door, just like we do when we advertise that the office is going to be closed for a holiday. Put a little note on the front door saying that the planning commission is looking to fill 2 board seats. If you're interested, please see the planning coordinator or something. Those are just my thoughts, because Galita planning, they definitely have been struggling. So has all the other boards, but I think Facebook would definitely help as well.
Cool.
Very good.
What would you guys like? How would you like the Facebook page named? Would you like it Lander County Commission? Would you like it Lander County Manager? Would you like it just Lander County?
Just Lander County, probably.
Lander County.
What do you think?
And then you should have pictures of everybody and ways to contact them and.
Well, we have our webpage, but.
The webpage, yeah. No, just mine.
And I'll put a link on the webpage that can link to the Facebook page. Well, when they go to the webpage, they can click that and it'll just take them to the Facebook page.
And if we have that, we have the internet insurance, so if anything went goofy with it, we'd still be covered, right?
We mean goofy.
The internet insurance?
I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest.
Do you mean if the page can get hacked? Yeah, anything can get hacked.
We have cyber liability
Yes.
insurance.
Yeah, cyber, is that what you're talking about? Cyber
Yeah, we have
liability?
cyber liability.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
I think it was just discussion, yeah?
No, it was an action item. Yes,
This
if
is
you-
an action item.
If you want a Facebook page,
Well, it just says discussion on the agenda.
and then at the end.
It says,
But then it's
Oh, this
the
is an
last
action item,
sentence.
yeah. So I guess I just make a motion that we direct staff to
Create a Facebook.
create a social media
Yes.
page.
Or-
That'd be perfect.
I'll second it.
Okay, Brian made the motion, JR seconded. Any public comment?
I would say that if you're gonna do social media presence, do Twitter and everything all at once, because there's some people that don't use Facebook anymore.
Nope.
But they will use Twitter, so,
I would say,
but if you reach out to multiple sources.
yeah, Instagram or Facebook, but I don't even have a
But you
Twitter
could do
account.
more
I
than
don't have a
one
Twitter account.
social media application.
Twitter might ban us for putting a Lander County
And when
page
you-
there or something.
A lot of the times with social media too, if you post on one, it'll post on all of them. You can
yes,
choose
I
to
can do
post.
the Instagram and the Facebook, and when I post on one, it'll automatically post to the other one.
Again, I would know
Yeah.
nothing about social media.
And I can do that.
And for clarification, this will be all on Liz, because I cannot navigate any of that.
Don't blow up my hard drive or whatever happens there. Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay. discussion possible action, approve, disapprove an interlocal agreement between Lander County and Eureka County. Bert? Oh, Robert?
Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office. This is an agreement for housing inmates for Eureka County. We've occasionally done this in the past on a case-by-case basis, and it's typically the inmates or prisoners they arrest in Crescent Valley, and so they house temporarily at our facility. This just formalizes what we have in place already and have been doing. And so we put this together, and the district attorney has reviewed it.
And Ted, you're okay with the agreement? Okay. I think it's great. I will make a motion, we approve the interlocal agreement between Lander County and Eureka County, authorize the chair and the sheriff to sign.
I'll second.
Okay, Patsy made the motion, Kathy seconded it. Any discussion, comments, concerns, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes unanimously.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Robert. For discussion, possible action, approve, disapprove the proposal, the contract between Carpel Solutions and Lander County for licenses for its copyrighted software known as Prosecutor by Carpel Case Management System in the one-time amount not to exceed $50,000 and a reoccurring yearly amount not to exceed $7,500.
And the biggest reason it's on here, well, first of all, we're the only district attorney's office in the state, I believe, that don't have a case management system. And they all, I think they all have carpal.
Majority, yeah.
The majority have carpal, so we're just following in line.
We don't have any software program at all?
No. No, we're doing it the old-fashioned way.
Okay.
So this would be an immense help, and
Well, that's not true. We have Abacus.
well, we have Abacus.
But
So-
it's not as detailed as this, and it doesn't allow us to connect to the sheriff's office, whereas we can get programming with this that can connect us directly to the sheriff's office, to where then we can actually get those caseloads, virtually
Wow.
between the two departments.
Then what is the phase 2 that they talk about?
Phase 2.
Well, that's just that's our setup process. So we have to do demonstration with them. And then we'll go live stream. So it's gonna take us about a year to get this implemented. There's a whole process that goes to it.
Okay, I just know that when I was reading through everything, then it said, well, phase 2 is different and it could be extra money and blah, 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 and I'm
Yes.
going, we worry about that next year after you're all set up?
Yes and no, but I think the majority of this will actually cover everything that we're gonna implement into it.
Okay.
That's just if I wanna add other stuff to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposal and contract between Carpel Solutions and Lander County for license for its copyrighted software known as Prosecutor by Capel in a one-time amount not to exceed $50,000 and a recurring yearly amount not to exceed $7,500.
I'll second.
Okay, JR made the motion, Brian seconded. Any comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. 8, for discussion and possible action to approve, disapprove, increase Lander County match in an amount of not to exceed $35,931 based on the bids opened on March 16, 2022 for FY 2022 construct taxi lanes at the Battle Mountain Airport. Commission approved additional match, $28,125 based on initial engineer's estimate. How you doing there, Jay?
Good morning, David Meyer, JUB Engineers for the record. Like I said, I came in front of the commission in December based on our initial project estimates. We have since opened bids, we finalized our contract, we've seen those costs go up. I promised Donnie I would come up here and advocate for all the other bids the county's gonna open. Price of gas is really gonna impact everything, so we actually got pretty good bids, but there is more money involved The other big cost increases, we were originally gonna bid these together in one bid schedule as 3 taxi lanes. As the FAA started releasing different pots of money, primarily the bipartisan infrastructure law pot of money, we broke them up to allow for more project flexibility for funding. So this $35,931 is a total match for if all bid schedules are awarded. That appears to be the direction the FAA is leaning towards. So we just wanted to make sure to get that match caught up.
I will make a motion that we approve the additional $7,806 for the Lander County match in an amount not to exceed $35,931 to construct the taxi lanes at the Battle Mountain Airport.
I'll second. Okay, who's gonna take the second?
Kathy can.
Okay. Patsy made the motion, Kathy seconded. Any questions, concerns, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, David.
Thanks,
Opposed?
Commissioner.
Passes unanimously. Thank you for waiting. Agenda item 9, for discussion possible action to approve, disapprove the Nevada Division of Water Resources FY 2022-2023 groundwater basin budgets and adjustments for the following basins. A, Antelope Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $20,897.05. Big Smoky Valley Northern Park Groundwater Basin in the amount of $1,270.50. C, Boulder Flat Groundwater Basin in the amount of $1,286.99. D, Buffalo Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $3,934.93. E, Carico Lake Groundwater Basin in the amount of $2,593.42. F, Clovers Area Groundwater Basin in the amount of $20,804.62. G, Crescent Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $49,601.44. Kobe Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $201.21. Lower River Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $14,399.43. J, Middle Reese River Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $26,105.19. K, Upper Reese River Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $7,860.31. L, Whirlwind Valley Groundwater Basin in the amount of $26,928.49. M, Humboldt River Groundwater Basin in the amount of $27,245.42. And N, Kingston Creek Groundwater Basin in the amount of $3,593.75. We have any public comment, questions, concerns?
I have a question on this. So on that letter from Mr. Sullivan, it just says, it's payment for necessary expenses for the supervision over the waters of Lander County. What are necessary expenses? I mean, what do they do when they're monitoring these things? I mean, what work goes into it? I've never really thought that through, It's in a set, we assess that, we collect it, we pay it, but it's for that, for payment of necessary expenses for the supervision over. What does that detail?
They read meters?
Yes, they come out and they will go through a lot of the rural farms and places like that, making sure that these ranches are not over pumping their allocated water,
Gotcha.
and making sure that they're
That's what
protecting
we're
our
doing. Okay.
resource.
I got you. Okay, cool.
Special assessments, they call them.
Patsy pointed out, they call them special assessments.
Right, special assessments, right.
No, they're not taxes.
Right, right.
They're not taxes or special, huh?
They're special assessments.
Special assessments, but it's not a tax, but it takes money out of the, okay. Any more questions? Call for a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Nevada Division of Water Resources FY 2022-2023 groundwater basin budget and adjustments for the so said basins as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay. Kathy made the motion, Brian seconded it. Any questions, concerns, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously. Number 10, we already did. 11.
We already did.
So, 13. For discussion and possible action, approve, disapprove resolution number 2022-02 in support of the Nevada Wildfire Awareness Campaign from May through October.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. My name is Brad Milam with the Bureau of Land Management, for the record, and I hope I have an easy one for you. A little background on the Wildfire Awareness Campaign. In the past, we've done wildfire awareness months, usually the month of May. Last year was the first year that we extended it from May to October. As wildfire season is growing longer, we felt that we wanted to extend that, and that was unanimous with the Bureau of Land Management, the Forest Service, the NDF, and lots of rural municipalities. We wanted to let everybody know and keep everybody aware that a spring cleaning is no longer enough. You know, by the time we get to our major fire season, July, August, all that spring cleaning has grown back and some. So I'll read the proclamations and I'll be happy to take any questions you have.
It's a resolution.
Right.
And on the motion, they have to read it out loud anyway. So if you don't want to read it and then have them read it, you don't have, but if you want to, please go ahead.
Patsy's pretty good at reading them, so.
Okay. I'm just saying, they have to read it anyway.
Oh, no, not a problem.
Okay.
By all means.
You wanna read it, Patsy? Go ahead.
Making me the resolution now?
Loves reading.
Patsy wants to get out of here, so she'll read it fast.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve resolution number 2022-02 in support of the Nevada Wildlife Awareness Campaign from May through October. So it's resolution number 2022-02 of the Board of Lander County Commissioners. A resolution for the Nevada Wildfire Awareness Campaign, May to October 2022. Whereas wildlife significantly impacts Nevada's environmental, economic, and social well-being. And whereas residents must prepare to survive wildfire by ensuring proper management of the vegetation surrounding the home and appropriate home construction and maintenance to resist ignition. And whereas residents need to work together to prepare their homes and communities to survive wildlife and commit to become fire adapted. And whereas residents can save precious time in an evacuation by preparing a go bag and family evacuation plan ahead of time. Now therefore be it resolved, the Lander County Board of County Commissioners proclaim the period of May through October 2022 as the Nevada Wildlife Awareness Campaign, and this year's banner theme is Battle-Born, Wildfire Ready, as a means for education and a call for residents of Lander County to work together to be ready for wildfire. Passed and adopted this 24th day of March 2022, and we authorize the chair to sign. I'll second that.
Okay, Patsy read the resolution in, made the motion, Kathy seconded it. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Do you have any addition?
Does this
I mean, was
propose
there
that we're
something in
gonna
the
have a
proclamation that
fire
we
ban
missed?
from May to?
So, right now, our predictive services only go about 2 months ahead of time. Right now, we're looking at another well below average fire season with our predictive services, but that can all change with the amount of moisture that we get. As you can see, last year, with the severity of the drought, I think we finally figured out a way to beat the cheatgrass. I think that broke apart and blew away in the wind. But we had record lows in the Battle Mountain BLM district and the Winnemucca district as far as human starts and acres. I believe Battle Mountain district had 5 human starts for less than an acre, which is just record lows. We've never had a fire season that great as far as number of occurrences or acres. We're projecting to have another slow season, but it all depends on the weather. We all need the water. If we get some significant moisture, we'll see a grass crop growing. And if we keep getting the moisture, hopefully it'll stay green.
Please let us know when you declare the fire season, we can't have fires out in the desert and so on. Let us know, because we put our burn ban into effect. I mean, we don't have any authority, but we still tell people not to burn. So if you'll call Bert when you guys set the date, we'll get it scheduled for the next meeting and get it on so that we don't have any problems in our areas.
That sounds fantastic.
Okay, we need a vote. In favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
13, correspondence reports, future agenda items. Patsy, we did it. We got done by 12 o'clock.
Look at that, you're right on.
I don't have anything. Just refuse a letter of resignation.
Yes, okay.
I refuse. It's such a nice smile.
Oh, terrible, isn't it? Can we,
No.
remind everybody that on the 29th, we have that meeting that's gonna be held here in this commission chambers on 5G and weather modification. And all of that will be here, so welcome all your friends, anybody and everybody to come and hear what's said, and we'll kinda try to decipher what is and isn't.
And that's Tuesday, 10 to 2?
Yep. We will be taking no sweat, we'll be taking a lunch in the middle there, so it'll be a 2-hour deal, and then we'll take a little lunch, come back and finish up. I'm not exactly sure what all is gonna be presented or isn't, but,
We're gonna do it in here,
yes, sir.
and we can all be here. And
That's
as long as
presentation
we
only.
don't talk to each other, deliberate.
Yep, just a presentation.
'Cause I definitely wanna see about this stuff, especially after what we found out about the 5G towers and wildfires. That's really interesting.
Yes, there's some,
In Kingston, we've had some people that have upgraded their cell phones to 5G, and now they have no service at all.
Interesting. On the 28th of April, at the county commissioner meeting, we've scheduled a public hearing for the commission to make an amount certain on the property we are going to put up for auction. That Honeywell wanted to buy.
Yes.
Right.
And then we found out that we have to do a public auction, so we're going to have basically a prove-up meeting, a public hearing. And, we could bring in the information, you'll have to back up your information on the estimate, of the property, so you guys can make a determination of the value of the property and make, arrangements for how you wanna conduct the public auction.
Anybody else? Open it up for public comment.
Robert Quick for the Sheriff's Office. Apologize, I should have brought this up before when you talked about the social media. And Ted can correct me if I'm wrong, but with our social media page, we activated a service for archiving all our social media information. And I believe it does or could fall under public records requests. So we have enough space on that currently that I think we could attach any other county offices that want to do that, so they don't have to do that separately. We're already doing that with a health nurse, but we make that offer to whatever county offices may want to do that.
thank you, Ronald.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Come on up, Tim. How you been? Haven't seen you for a while.
Good. Okay. Tim Holland, LP Insurance. How much time do
Will
I
you
have?
hit your speaker, please? Thanks.
Tim Holland, LP Insurance. How much time do I have?
3 minutes.
Okay,
Time
perfect.
starts now.
We've been negotiating the renewal with Anthem. They initially came with a 7.5% increase of about $175,000 to the health plan for the next year. High cost meds and 3 claims. We had $833,000 with these 3 individuals. We were able to negotiate, so again, the increase is about $175,000. We were able to increase that down to a 0 rate pass, so you'll have no increase going forward. So that's on both the medical, PPO and the HSA plan. We're gonna have a small increase on the dental because it was really, really well used. We have a rate pass on the vision. And that's all I have to report to you, so.
Have we been hit with any, big events. With big events, an individual with a really big event and a
Big,
high cost.
big claims or?
Yeah,
Big claims.
yeah, we had one claim, which was $404,000, throat and chest. What a respiratory failure of a cardiac arrest of $282,000. I would guess both of those incidents involved a helicopter ride to the U of U, just saying.
Yeah, cause I got a knee replacement, that was $100,000.
Yeah.
My wife got a hip replacement, that was $100,000, just like that.
And you walked at the end of the day, didn't you?
You wanted to do a special assessment?
No, it's just insurance goes up. It goes up.
Yes, the cost, the biggest fear we have is 2/3 of the drugs the FDA is approving are specialty drugs, and those are running thousands and thousands of dollars. We actually had one drug, $1.5 million for one dose.
Well, and I paid $45 on my bill. We haven't gotten bills on
That's
my
what we
wife.
have insurance for.
I make it a point to walk the building and ask everybody if they're happy. And Leslie Marla issues seem to be really behind us, and everybody's very, very happy with their benefit plan.
Okay.
Very good.
I know I like the dental insurance, that's all I take is,
Yeah.
is dental insurance. It helps, and the dental vision is a big help.
And just for a reminder, you have Anthem Vision on here for a bundle discount, but most people utilize the VSP policy.
Any other questions? Any more public comment? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Brian made a motion.
I'll second it.
JR seconded. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. It's been a long week, folks.
Muted.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Art. Good seeing you all.
These are just the two pages.